adjustment. This meeting is held in accordance with NJSA 10:4-12, the Open Public Meetings Act. I would like to call this meeting to order. Now, forgive me, I'm going to, our new secretary is Mr. Pangi Lee Nan. Did I say that correctly? Okay. I am going to ask Mr. Pang Lee Nan if there are any sunshine announcements that he needs to share with us.
Yes, Chair Coyle. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, this public notice of this meeting has been sent to the Bergen Record and El Especialito, as well as posted with the city clerk. I would like to enter this into evidence as B1.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Secretary, can you please take roll call?
Yes. Thank you. Vice Chair Arubel, Commissioner Shadid, Commissioner D'Angelo,
Yeah.
Chair Coyle.
Present.
We have 4 present thus far.
Thank you. Can we all stand for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, do we have staff that needs to be sworn in tonight? Yes, we do. Yeah, 4 is quorum, I found out today.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Secretary, is there any correspondence that you would like to share with us or any adjournments? You could do it from there if you don't want to run up and down.
Sure, thank you. Yes, we have 3 requests to be carried. First, for case Z 2024-0071, appeal of notice of violation for 32 Sherman Place. They've requested to be carried to December 11, 2025 with preservation of notice. The second is case Z 2024-0001, preliminary and final major site plan with C&D variances for 48 Central Avenue. They've requested to be carried to November 20th, 2025 with preservation of notice. And lastly, we have case Z 2025-0046, a preliminary and final major site plan with C&D variances for 292 Arlington Avenue. They've requested to be carried to November 20th, 2025 with preservation of notice. That is all.
So tonight, according to the papers that we have, the agenda for tonight, we're not hearing case 10, 12, and 15.
That is correct.
Thank you. Okay, so for the public's information, I will not begin any hearings once it hits 10 o'clock. If we're in the middle of something, I most certainly will continue if we're all in agreement, but we will not begin anything as even it gets close to 10 o'clock. And also, any public speakers will be held to 3 minutes, and Commissioner Shahid will make certain that he keeps time, and he will let you know when you have a minute left when you're speaking. I will remind you of that as we move through. Okay, so I said we're waiting for 2 more. We're going to start. Yeah. Okay, so we are going to begin this evening with case number 14 on our agenda, case Z2025-0047 for C variances at 162 Summit Avenue. I believe Mr. Harrington is okay. You're not Mr. Harrington, I know that. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Just in time.
Okay. Make it note of it. Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Yo.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
I think it's just plugged in.
All right, let's give that a shot. Coming up.
The screens are supposed to change.
So yes.
And it's like,
It's your inaugural meeting.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I pulled into the tire shop yesterday for tire fix. I pulled in. I said to them, I said, they don't know where it is, they don't want to come in again.
That might be the connection to the rest of
Seriously, disgusting. Disgusting.
So this is connected to
Everything in this one, even when we look at, I mean,
this one?
it's insignificant.
from that.
He just,
Yeah.
look at even Bob. Really, he's Puerto Rican. Exactly. And he may be because he looks like a horse. You can bring in so many other
Oh,
ones.
something
It's
happened.
gonna bring in other.
That should have worked.
You know what I'm saying? They don't even give him a chance.
Do you see something on there?
finally, is it working?
Yeah, I got that flash I usually get, but it's not coming up on the main screen.
Let me see. Yeah, it's working. Yeah, we got it.
I don't-
Right.
Wait a minute, I don't have it. How is it?
Oh. Yeah, turn it down.
Check every time I come here now. First thing I'm gonna look at.
Okay. Touch it again.
There you go.
All right.
I don't know.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, hang on.
I was only kidding.
I know, but you never. Okay, I can't get
Hers
in.
isn't. Yeah, hers isn't.
So close. Let me get you there.
What's the code?
Sorry about that.
Yeah, all of this has to be arranged ahead of time.
I know I tried.
You know it now?
Yes, sorry about that. It should be connected to yours now.
I did that.
I'm sorry.
Okay, well, we could get started and I'll,
Here, you can share
look.
mine.
Share with your neighbor, okay?
okay.
We can share it.
Okay, let's begin.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening. My name is Rebecca Maioriello. I am an attorney at Connell Foley. Not Chuck Harrington, but working my way up to that name. We represent the applicant this evening, 162 Summit Ave, JC LLC. This property is located at 162 Summit Ave, block 15302, lot 7. Mr. LaPaglia, this is a notice case, if I may tender my notice and mark it as A1 for the record.
Yes, you put them on the portal, right?
Yes, this has been uploaded on the portal on, oops, sorry. Thank you. Thank you. So this property is located in the R1 neighborhood housing district. Right now, the property is currently improved. There's a dilapidated building, a single family building on the property currently. And as you guys could all see by looking at your screen, this is a very irregularly shaped flag lot. What I will call like the entrance to this lot, it's about 7 feet wide and it goes down about a little over 74 feet deep until you kind of enter the bulk and buildable area of the lot. For that reason, that triggers the variance relief that we're going to request here tonight. So the applicant is seeking variance relief to construct a 3-story, 3-family building on this lot. And the variance relief that we're going to request tonight is for the front yard setback. Because in this zone, the front yard of your building is supposed to match your neighboring properties. Because this lot goes so far back, it's impossible for us to comply with that requirement. Same thing for the rear yard setback. So the rear yard setback, the building's supposed to be set back about 25% of the lot depth. Also, it's just not possible here because of how far back this lot is and the depth of it. And you're going to hear more testimony on that from our architects and our planner. We also are going to seek a variance relief for insufficient street trees. It's just not feasible. We don't have enough room here to put a street tree in front. And also, as you'll hear from the testimony tonight, there's some utilities in front of the property, and it's just not feasible to do so. And with that, I will present my architectural witness, Jeffrey Lewis, to present his plans.
Hi. Yes, I do. Jeffrey Lewis, Lewis. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lewis, you've appeared before this board many times, correct?
Yes, I have, and my license is active and in good standing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let me just get started then. So as was mentioned, this is an extremely oversized lot located in the R1. There's an existing one-family, 2-story building in the back of this lot. We are proposing to demolish that building and build a new 3-story, 3-unit building, which will also be in the back part of the lot. Each of these 3 apartments is going to be a 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath apartment, so these are larger apartments. 2 of them are 1,476 square feet, and the larger 3rd-floor apartment is 1,522 square feet, so these are pretty big apartments. The site itself is, again, what's called a flag lot, so you have this long, what would be the flagpole, and then the flag at the back. Right now, that flag section is only 7.27 feet wide. So it's currently being used as a driveway, but 7.27 feet is not even, that's below the minimum requirement for a driveway. It's below the minimum requirement for parking. It's not really a proper use. So we're proposing to eliminate the curb cut at the front of the building. And this is going to actually add 1 street parking space combined with our neighbor's curb area. We're going to do new concrete curbs and sidewalks. As was mentioned, we just don't have the space to do a new street tree. We have to have all of our underground utilities coming through here. And with the clearances that you're required from a tree, it's just not physically possible to do it here. What was a driveway is going to be converted into a walkway. We're finishing this with open grid pavers. These pavers are half grass, half concrete. I do have a photo of them. If anyone wants to see them, I can show them to you at the end. We're also lining 10 new raised planter boxes along the right side property line, and these will each have a new shrub in it. And again, this is just to make sure that this is used as a walkway. We do have the minimum 5 feet in between the planter boxes and the property line, so it won't be a problem walking there, wheelchair through there, ambulance, not an ambulance, but you know what I mean, stretcher going through there. Everything, there's enough room for the ADA compliance. Moving back, so we would walk down this long walkway, then we kind of have an open courtyard in front of the building. The building itself is set back 3 feet on each side as well as at the back, and then it has a 5-foot setback from the property in front of us at its closest point here. All of those sides are finished with just a concrete patio. Also, the last thing I have to mention here is that we do have a 6-foot wood fence, which wraps around the back of the property through here and all the way around to the front of the courtyard here. And with that, I want to jump into the floor plans. So this is our first floor plan, and I want to start on the right side here. We have a sprinkler room, as this will be a fully sprinklered building, as well as the trash and recycling room. Both of them are on the outside. Well, they're in the building, but they're accessed from the side alleyway, and they have doors at the exterior. The main entry is directly from the walkway. You get to the main entry. We have a very small lobby, which gives you access to the stair up. The rest of the ground floor is apartment number 1. As I mentioned, there are 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. Those are all located in this area. We also have washer dryer in the unit. We have open living, dining, kitchen area. And then we also have sliding doors off of that living room, which open out to what would be a patio in front of that living room area. Looking to the upper levels, the second floor is here at the top. It's actually the exact same layout as far as the apartment is concerned. The only difference is we kept those sliding doors, but now we have a 5-foot deep by 20-foot wide balcony that those doors are opening to instead of the patio, obviously. Then again, moving on to the third floor, we have that exact same layout as the second floor with 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, and the balcony in the front. The only difference here, this is slightly larger, as we modified the stair a little bit so that we can have a private staircase going up to the roof, and we're going to have a private roof deck for this third floor apartment. And so here we are on the roof plan. We have a 413 square foot roof deck, which is only for apartment number 3. On the left side, we have 904 square feet of green roof trays. And then we also have our 3 air conditioning condensers on the roof here. Moving on to the building elevations, this is the front elevation of the building. Our main finish is a dark gray stacked brick. We also on the right have this large section of fiber cement panels, which will be gray in color. And we're using the cedar brown fiber cement panels in between our doors and as an accent for our windows in the stairway. We also have black aluminum frames for our windows and doors, as well as black aluminum balconies, the railings, excuse me. This is the rear elevation. It's pretty simple, a dark gray stucco base with dark gray vinyl siding above and those same windows that we have in the front with black aluminum frames. And then here we have the 2 sides. Again, we have the same finishes as the rear. The only additional item we have here are these 2 solid metal doors. And these will be black in color. This one is for the trash and recycling, and then this is for the recycling area. The sprinkler room, sorry. And that's actually my presentation. I can answer questions. I can show you that detail if you like, or we could just move on to planning testimony, whatever you prefer.
We'll hold our questions till the end.
Okay. What do you want?
Site plan.
I should have left it. Is that good enough?
Can we just zoom in?
Yeah, sure. No,
No.
I could if I do this. Do you need to see the end, or you want to just see that?
That's fine.
Do you swear that the testimony you will provide this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your full name.
It's Carolyn Worstel, Worstell.
Thank you. Witness is sworn.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Just to start it off, my license is current and in good standing this evening.
We accept.
Okay. So as was mentioned, this is sort of an unusual lot. We don't get a lot of flag lots here in Jersey City. So there are a couple of variances that we are requesting that are really stemming from the fact that we do have this very unusual condition for this lot. The first one is, again, that front yard setback. So in the R1, you're all aware, the way that the requirement states is that you must match an adjacent property. It's not a minimum, it's not a maximum, it's you have to match somebody. We can't do that. The pole portion of this is 7 feet wide and around over 80 feet deep. So, we can't build in that 7-foot area. We cannot meet that standard. It is a hardship for us. So what we are doing is we are, taking that, we're pulling the building back. We are going to provide, that setback at the 5 feet from the rear lot line of lot 5 ahead of us, and to sort of create that space back there. But obviously we cannot comply with the front yard setback standard. We are going to be, we're going to exceed it essentially. Similarly with our rear yard setback, the rear yard setback, the way it's calculated to determine what you're required to provide is that you have to do 25% of your lot depth. Our lot depth is about 132 feet. But as we mentioned, about 90 of those feet, that pole, we can't build there. So when you look at applying a strict standard here, the 25 feet lot depth would mean that we had the 25% of the lot depth would be 32.9 feet. And the rear portion of our property where we can actually functionally build is really only about 42 feet deep. So if we were to have to comply, we can't, because we would then have, only a couple of feet in which we could build, and that's just not feasible. It's not functional. So it really would be a hardship to provide, to have the strict application of that rear yard setback here. So we are providing a 3-foot setback along the rear of the property line. And we are still able to provide, I think, adequate light and air and open space, directly to the rear of us. There are some accessory rear yard structures and whatnot. So there is space between our building and the buildings to the rear of this property. So we do believe that we can provide some adequate light and air. And we are still providing open space on this property. We're just sort of providing it as the front courtyard here. And again, that just happens to be where we can provide it on this property given its unusual configuration. And then obviously we heard about the fact that we are requesting a variance for the street tree with the frontage of only 7 feet. We really, as mentioned, we don't have space to provide a street tree. In fact, I don't even think we're as wide as a standard tree pit. I think a standard tree pit's 10 feet wide and we're only 7 feet. So we are requesting relief from that requirement so that we do not have to provide a street tree. And then finally, in order to be very conservative, we are going to ask relief for the roof deck setback. We are proposing a roof deck on the upper roof. The requirement is that you have to have a 10-foot setback from your front facade. Because our front facade has variations, it's not a straight across facade. We do have that step back. We are 12 feet setback from the sort of the widest part here. This is a 12-foot setback, approximately 12 feet. So we are 12 feet setback from this facade, but we don't have a 10-foot setback from this facade. So we are requesting relief just to be very conservative. The intent of the requirement of having that 10-foot setback from your front facade is so that your roof deck isn't really visible from the street. And we're a flag lot. The building's not really visible from the street. So the roof deck, we don't feel that there's going to be a substantial impact. It still meets the intent of the requirement. It won't be visible from the street. And it's still set back from, the neighboring lot lines as well. So we think overall that it meets the intent of that requirement. I think overall this project does advance the municipal land use law. It's consistent with Purpose A. It's an appropriate use. It's a residential use in a residential district. It's consistent with Purpose E, an appropriate population density and concentration. The 3-family use is a permitted density on this lot. The lot is 3,787 square feet, so it is an oversized lot. So we are consistent with the the density. And then we are promoting that desirable visual environment consistent with Purpose I. Again, it's removing a home that's not in good condition, removing that curb cut and driveway, which are really not ideal conditions, and creating, a new, more attractive building, and again, adding some of that landscaping along that driveway, walkway area within the pole. So I think we meet that purpose as well. In looking at the negative criteria, the requested variances will not result in a substantial detriment to the general welfare. Again, this is a residential use consistent with the character of the neighborhood. The height and bulk in terms of coverages are all conforming. We are just requesting those variances because this is an unusual situation with a flag lot. I don't see this resulting in a substantial impairment to the intent and purpose of the zone plan or zoning ordinance. Again, it's advancing that goal of the R1, to provide for housing within this district, as well as to the New Jersey City Master Plan to provide unique, attractive, and quality residential development. So I think overall, the project can be granted and that it meets both the positive and the negative criteria.
Okay, thank you. Do you have anyone else to
Nope, that's it.
testify? Okay. At this time, is there anyone from the public sector who would like to come forward, comment, talk about this project? If so, please come up to the podium. Okay, if not, then I'll close out the public portion. Commissioners, do you have any comments, questions? I have a question. You said that you would share with us a picture of the walkway, what it would look like. I'd like to see that. And also, do you have a picture of the overall neighborhood, what it's surrounded, and what the other buildings look like? Because black and gray is awfully dark for a building, depending on if the rest of the neighborhood is black and gray.
I don't have one with me. I could go online and bring the Streets View up. Let me just but this is what the pavers look like. So you can see they're half and half, and there's grass growing through each of those sections.
And I think just for the purposes of clarifying the record, let's mark this as A2. A photograph of the proposed pavers.
Yeah, I can't. I can't see it, it's like.
Wi-Fi is slow. Come on. What is this? I'm sorry.
That's okay, you can keep looking for that, but at this time, then I would ask the planner from the city to please comment.
Sure. Staff agrees with the testimony provided by the applicant. The application furthers the principles of the land use element of the Jersey City Master Plan, including ensuring that the city's availability.
Excuse me, is your mic on, or I can't?
It is.
Okay.
Yes. That the city's available housing is balanced and meets the needs of all current and future city residents, as well as the purpose of the R1 neighborhood housing purpose of preserving streetscapes. And staff recommends approval, provided that the applicant agrees to the conditions in the staff memo dated September 9th.
And the applicant agrees to all those conditions.
Great.
Gonna demolish this building and then push everything back.
Nice.
And there's a building in the back. I don't know.
This is really slow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did he get it?
Any luck, Mr. Lewis?
It's really slow.
Sorry, and if I may make a suggestion as well, we could certainly add another condition of approval that we would work with planning staff to match the colors that they believe are compatible with the neighborhood.
Okay, that would be agreeable?
Yes.
All right, staff will agree to that condition.
Okay.
Just the that's just our neighboring buildings. here.
Okay, so then we have the picture, okay.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
this is, the internet's just not connecting.
Okay, as long as you're agreeable to that,
Yes, of
okay?
course.
Because we just pulled up the pictures ourselves, so we saw it. Okay. All right, do any of the commissioners have any other comments at this time?
No, I agree with Chairman Coyle that it should be a little lighter because it doesn't match the rest of the houses. I can't imagine the way it's gonna look. Like, I wish you really had a picture
Right.
of how you're gonna do all of this, because I can't see it. Like, I can't picture it. So you're gonna push everything back and you're just gonna have this kind of pavers all the way in the front?
The pavers? Yeah, the
Show me
pavers.
the pavers, I already saw the
Right,
pavers. Yeah.
so the pavers are gonna go all the way from the front, down the walkway to the building. And then the building will be basically where the building is now, in the back area of the property.
It's almost like a carriage house in the back.
Yeah, it's all
Like-
in the
Right,
back.
it's like an
a house
ADU, it's
behind
like an
the house,
ADU
but it has a
almost.
separate,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
the
yeah.
yellow brick road kind of thing
Yeah,
all the way
yeah,
to the
yeah.
back.
Okay.
The back of the house is actually facing the beacon, correct? Or on the other,
There are,
Clinton?
well, there are other properties
Yeah.
separating us from the next street.
Okay, I'm just looking at the Google, so it's like,
Yeah, I
kind of like the
looked at
beacons on
that
the other
too.
side.
Yeah. All right,
Okay. Okay.
all right, then, thank you.
Now, did Peter make it there on
Right.
time to vote?
I wasn't paying attention.
I know. I'm just, we have, Mr. Splicki came in, so you have him. Mr. Barron came in, another commissioner. Did you make it in time for the very beginning of the presentation? Okay, so then 5 of us will be voting on this. Okay. Okay, so at this time, Mr. Secretary, can you please take, can I get a motion to vote on case Z2025-0047?
I'll make the motion to vote aye on case Z2025-0047
With conditions?
with the conditions as indicated just now.
I second.
Okay, Mr. Secretary, please take.
Yes, Chairman Coyle. Vice Chair Arul,
Yes.
Commissioner Shadid,
Yes.
Commissioner D'Angelo,
Yes.
Chairman Coyle.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
The Blicky.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Commissioner Shabilky. Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Motion passes 5-0.
This is a strange.
Yes. Okay. Okay, our next case, we're going for case number 13, Z2025-0052. It's 365 Fifth Avenue, I guess, and a half, Fifth Avenue. Yeah,
364.5 Fifth Street.
yeah, 364.5 Fifth Street. Okay.
Wow.
We have some of these funny half addresses in Hamilton Park in the village.
All right, thank you. I wasn't expecting that, but I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Stephen Joseph, Castano, Quigley, Charami for the applicant. This project may look familiar. There was an approval directly next door, very similar size lot. This has a handful of variances associated with how undersized the lot is. It's very undersized, and the slope on the site is also pretty significant. This is a notice case, so if we could mark notices, please. This will be A1.
Yeah, just, yeah.
All right, so this will be a 4-story single-family house. Jensen is going to get sworn in, and he'll walk you through the plans.
Do you
another
I do.
strange one.
Jensen Vasel, V as in Victor, ASIL. Correct. Thank you.
Great. So Jensen, why don't you walk us through the plans in the zoning table? These plans were uploaded to the portal at least 10 days prior to tonight's hearing.
Sure.
Joseph, he's been before us.
Oh,
Yes.
I apologize. Yes, Jensen has been before this board many times. Jensen, your license is current in good standing this
Yes,
evening.
it is.
I would ask the board accept his qualifications.
Thank you.
Good evening, commissioners and chair. My name is Jensen Vasel. I'm the architect for the project at 364.5 Fifth Street. As Mr. Joseph introduced, we previously were here last year for 364 Fifth Street, the building directly to the east of it. They are identical buildings on 12.5 by 50-foot lots, with one minor exception, which I'll get to. So it's a single family, proposed building is a single family house. Currently, this is the empty lot. There's a building that occupies 364, the building adjacent. These buildings will be built in conjunction so that the building on the adjacent lot which encroaches on this vacant lot, is torn down, and then they're both constructed so they're conforming within their lot, their actual zoning lots. The proposed building is, the lot coverage is 83.5%, which is a reduction from where the current lot coverage, it is an increase of the building coverage from 68% to 83.6%. From 68.23%. To 83.5%. It will match the adjacent building. The building is being raised or elevated out of the floodplain above the design flood elevation. And there is we're proposing in the rear yard, which is pretty diminutive. The rear yard would be a detention tank, stormwater detention tank underneath the patio. So when you walk out from the first floor, the first floor is a few feet above grade because of where the flood elevation is. That would actually be a infiltration basin for rainwater collection.
And Jensen, if you don't mind just zooming in on the zoning table and just noting the several C variances we're seeking this evening.
Absolutely. So we are here, obviously a non-conforming lot, here for building coverage variance, C variance, and here for a lot coverage variance,
Oh, I see.
which is also a C variance, rear yard, which is a C, and the landscaping requirements, which are a C. So there's 4 variances.
Great. Thank you, Jensen. You could continue into the plan.
Sure. So on the next sheet, Z2, there's in the upper left-hand corner, there's an aerial showing the vacant lot, which is the subject property, as well as from the rear, showing the vacant lot and their 2 adjacent buildings, which extend back with the garden behind it. On the next sheet, Z3, the floor plans on the ground floor, living space, kitchen, dining, living room, the stair, switchback stair in the middle, and then on the second floor, 2 bedrooms with a bathroom. Third floor, the 2 bedrooms again, and then the top floor, there's like a rec space in the front and another bedroom. Some of these bedrooms would be used probably as offices, just for the home offices, just given the size of the building and uses might be a little different for everybody. And then finally, at the top floor, there is a small roof deck in the rear, and the front has green roof, the expansive green roof. I'll mention the one variation from this building from its sister building is the light well. So there's a light well being proposed against the adjacent building due to an existing window. There's a photo of that. I can see it on the If I zoom in on the addition, it's to the building to the west of it. There's an existing window there that we're going to preserve and keep a window well open for them. That window well is 3 feet, 3 feet in depth, and 5'6" in length.
And Justin, that's a pre-existing window on the adjacent building, which this property owner does not own that adjacent property.
That is correct.
Different property owner.
So with all of this building, the actual area is 2,088 square feet, total building area. The front of the building is brick with a small box bay projection, which is out of aluminum panels with aluminum clad windows there, as well as a small fenced area in the front that would have space for the recycling, trash, and flood vents, and some landscaping. We are keeping, there's a stoop that that's necessary from in the public right of way that's necessary to get to the first floor. That's a masonry stoop. To match the rest of the building. The side of the building is on the east side is completely covered by the new building, our new building, and then on the west side you can see the outline on sheet Z4, detail 4, the adjacent building there, which has the light well, and the light well is outlined.
And Jensen, while we're on the elevation, can you just describe how the flood zone affects the height of the building?
Sure. The flood zone is 4 feet, 4'8" from the sidewalk level to the first floor at the front of the building. At the back, it's slightly deeper. It's almost 6 feet. So that elevation is required in order to get to elevation 11. We had to elevate the first floor. Underneath that, there's no enclosed space. It's just with flood vents so that the flood water can move in and out.
Thank you, Jensen.
You're welcome. Finally, on the back of the building, back and the exposed sides, we have a stucco in the Benjamin Moore calm color, which is kind of a whitish beige. There is a small balconette, I should say. Not a step-out balcony, but a set of sliding doors with a guardrail in front of it for each level. And at the ground floor is the patio, the patio elevation, the patio in the back, which is also forms the stormwater infiltration tank. The last sheet shows the Z5 shows the details for the gate in the front. The railings, the cable rail, which is minimally visually invasive, the extensive green roof that would be put on the main roof, and the pedestal style decking system for the roof deck. Also, there is a AC for the mechanical equipment. There's both visual shielding with the wood around it, and also a sound attenuation inside of it to focus the any noise from the AC unit skyward. That concludes the drawing presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Do you have anyone else to present to us tonight?
We do have some brief testimony from our planner.
Okay, so we'll hold our questions till the end.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I acknowledge that I remain under oath. So good evening again. So again, this is 364.5 5th Street. So this is, again, sort of an unusual lot. It is severely undersized. It is 12.5 feet by 50 feet in depth. So for a total lot area of 625 square feet. So this is obviously like a quarter of the size of a typical lot that you would expect to see in Jersey City. So it's severely undersized. And that sort of relates to a lot of the variances that are being requested here. So I'm going to start off with the fact that we're requesting a minimum rear yard setback. We're proposing a rear yard setback of 6.5 feet, which is 12.92%. where 30% is required in the district. That 30% rear yard setback on a property this size would yield a building envelope of only, or a building footprint of only 457.5 square feet. Therefore, it's a hardship to provide that full 30%. Just for reference, on a conforming 2,500 square foot lot, the 30% setback would allow for 1,750 square feet. So again, you can see this is such a small lot, it really, to be conforming, would constrain the size of the building to a point where it just really doesn't make feasible sense to build. We are providing setback is, again, it's for the upper floors. I do want to mention that is we are providing that patio out the back. That is a structure that's in the rear yard. So I think actually technically our rear yard setback is 0 feet to the patio, and it's 6.5 feet to the rear of the residential portions of the structure of the building. Even with these, the requested setbacks, we do believe light and air is still preserved to the core of the block. Again, this building is on a very shortened site. There are buildings around it which are larger, go deeper. Let me see, there's a picture here. So as you can see here, again, the buildings which are further east, they go deeper into the block because those lots are deeper, and so those buildings go back farther. Our building, will not go farther back than those, and we're still providing that light and air into the center of the block, and there will still be the light and air to the garden behind us. Again, relating to this rear yard setback is the requested building coverage and lot coverage variances. We are proposing 100% building and lot coverage, where the requirement is 70 and 80% respectively. And again, the complying coverage would really be an undue hardship here, given the undersized character of this property, the fact that we're in this sort of flood hazard area. So what we're trying to do here, again, is to create a footprint that creates livable spaces, while still meeting the intent, which is to, again, allow for that light and air, and also to address stormwater. We are proposing that stormwater detention system in the rear, as well as the green roof system, which would be about 16% of the total lot area. So I think overall, we're still providing those benefits of reduced coverage, which are the stormwater benefits through this design, just with alternative methods. The other variance we're requesting is front yard landscaping. So this project is not using any of the approved landscape materials, which are reinforced lawn, ground cover, rain garden, bioswale plants. We are asking for that 100% lot coverage, but we are against the intent of the landscaping is to address stormwater issues, and we are addressing those through the detention tank in the rear yard, as well as the green roof on the roof. This project will have a green area ratio of 1.6, which is well above the required 0.25. So again, we are really meeting that intent, which is to address stormwater. And then finally, I think just to be very conservative, we do have a front yard encroachment for that main egress stair that does project beyond the property line into the public right-of-way. It is in keeping with the existing character of the block. It is matching the sister project next door, which has already been approved. So again, this is necessary to accommodate that egress of that elevated first floor, which we are required to provide because this is new building in the flood hazard area. So again, we don't see this as being presenting a detriment. It's necessary and it's consistent with the character of the block and the adjacent property. I think overall, the municipal land use law, this project advances the municipal land use law. It's an appropriate use for a new single-family home in a residential district, consistent with Purpose A. It's consistent with Purpose B, to secure from safety and flood and other natural and man-made disasters. Again, this is a new building. It must meet new and current flood hazard area requirements, which is why everything has to be elevated out of the floodplain. So we are, it is consistent with Purpose B. And then it's consistent with Purpose I. Again, it's going to be a new single-family development that maintains a character and scale permitted in the zone, and again, provide a replacement for that driveway. I don't see this resulting in a substantial detriment to the general welfare. It's a residential use in a residential district, and in keeping with the unique undersized character of this lot, and it doesn't result in a substantial. The variances here are really related to that hardship, which is this is such a small lot, and so we really do request this relief because it's important so that you can create a livable building area. I don't see that this would result in a substantial impairment to the zone plan or zoning ordinance. The use, height are all permitted. The stormwater management infrastructures that's being proposed, I think, provides a substantial benefit here, and is really critical in aiding the burden of in this flood-prone neighborhood. So I think overall the variances can be granted, and that both the positive and negative criteria have been met.
Great. Thank you, Carolyn. That does conclude our direct testimony. I think what you've heard from the professionals is that we did the best that we could. It's an undersized lot. There's a grade difference between the front and the rear. There's a lot line window we have to work with. It's in a flood zone. And we've done our best to mitigate the variances with green roof, with a stormwater detention, with a window well.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone from the public sector here tonight that wants to comment on this project? Okay, I'll close out the public portion of this meeting. Commissioners, do we have any questions or concerns or comments?
I don't.
Quick question. In the picture, there's a car there. Is that a driveway now? Is it being used as a driveway?
It's being used
For which house? Like, or for
I'm
just somebody?
I'm not sure. I know cars park there. I don't know if it's currently being used by either of the houses there, but I think several cars do park there.
Okay.
I have a question. It was mentioned that the building protrudes out into the pedestrian walkway. How far out is that coming?
Jensen?
I believe it's 30 inches. It's marked here. It's 18 inches. So on sheet Z3, it is 1 foot 6 inches or 18 inches into the public right of way.
18 inches.
Correct.
Okay. And the height of the building?
Height is 42 feet, which is compliant.
Okay.
Above the flood elevation.
Okay. Anyone else have any other questions? Okay. Can we hear from the staff, please?
Certainly, thanks, Chair Coyle. Jensen, could you confirm for me the width of the sidewalk after the encroachment in front of the right-of-way? Just want to make sure it's accounted for.
I don't see it marked on here. I can get it for you. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah, no worries. You know, when I was reviewing these plans, I didn't see any substantial impairment, but since the encroachment was brought up, I just want to confirm. While Jensen's doing that, Mr. Joseph, is your client intending on pursuing a franchise for the encroachment?
I believe we would have to.
Okay. So staff did produce a memo, And in that memo, there are 5 recommended conditions, and I'm also going to recommend a condition of obtaining the required franchise.
No issue with any of the conditions in the staff report or the added condition of the franchise.
Okay. With that being said, staff substantiates the accuracy and validity of Ms. Worstel's testimony, believes the positive and negative criteria are met, and staff recommends approval with the conditions.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'm asking for a motion to vote on case Z2025-0052, 364 and a half Fifth Street.
I'll make a motion to approve case Z2025-0052, 364 5th Street. And half?
Before we take the vote, Jensen, did you have?
Yeah,
have the
15 foot 9 inches.
Okay, so a very generous sidewalk. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, can I get a second? Second, okay. Mr. Secretary, please take vote.
Yes, Chair. Vice Chair Ruho,
Yes.
Commissioner Shadid,
Yes.
Commissioner D'Angelo,
Yes.
Commissioner Barron,
Yes.
Commissioner Chaplicki,
Yes.
Chairman Coyle.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you all. Have a good evening. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
taking me early again.
And then leave it in the rest. Yeah, I guess does she need a break? Yeah, okay. Okay. We could start, or we gotta wait for him to come back.
Sure. You could just
I'm doing number 2. I'm doing 30 DeKalb Avenue, because that's where all these speakers, I think, are from.
Did you recess?
I know, they both went to the bathroom. Is this Iris or Bridget? I'm assuming Iris or Bridget. Bridget, we just, we're waiting for the other, Iris rather, waiting for the other 2 people to come back. I know, very interchangeable. Okay, our next case is going to be Z2024-0076. It's 30 DeKalb Avenue, just waiting for the other 2 commissioners to come back. We're just going to wait 1 minute for the others to come back.
Thank you.
Okay, we can begin.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, members of the board. My name is Ronald Shalgian. I'm with the firm of Schuman Hanlon, and I represent the applicant in this matter.
Okay,
This is an application, it's a notice application, and I gave Mr. LaPaglia the notice. We marked it as A1 for this application. We reviewed them. Thank you, Mr. LaPaglia. This is an application to build a 3-family home on an unusually configured lot on a dead-end street. My client is not a developer. He's a resident of the neighborhood, and he's been a resident of the neighborhood for many years. And he intends to build a house and an artist studio for himself and his family on this location. In 2013, I stood before this board in the presence of Mr. LaPaglia, and this board granted on this property a use variance for a three-family house. And it was never built, and my client purchased it from, I guess, that person. So 12 years ago I was here, Mr. LaPaglia was here, and I was here 12 years ago. So it's been a long time, right?
It was a long time.
We'll hear, we have four prospective witnesses. Richard Isgard, who is the owner of the property, will be the first witness, and he is the owner of the property, and I'd like him to come forward and be sworn in and tell us a little bit about himself and his family and what he intends to do on this property. Mr. Isgard?
Thank you.
Sir, if you please raise your right hand.
Sure.
You swear that the testimony you will provide this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you
I
God.
do.
State your full name, please spell your last.
Sure. Richard Isgard, Isgard.
Keep your voice up, Mr.
Sure,
Isgard.
sorry.
Speak into the microphone.
Yes, thank you. The witness is sworn.
Hi. Thank you, everybody, for hearing this application tonight. My name is Rich Isgard, and myself and my wife Sharon, the back seat there. Actually, we are the owners of 30 DeKalb, and appreciate you hearing from us today. So we own two condo apartments in 38 Highland, which is abuts this property on the western side of DeKalb at the rear of 38 Highland. So we live in one apartment, and my son Paul and his fiance live in the other apartment. They're right next to each other. We bought our first apartment over there in 2007. And we lived in the suburbs, and I wanted to avoid the long commute to the city. And then in 2016, we were lucky enough to get the apartment right next door. And so what we did was we moved, we sold our home, and the whole family, me and my three kids, who are all in their early 20s, we moved up to 38 Highland. And they were going to school up in the area and working. In 2017, a year after we all moved up there, we bought 30 DeKalb. And I think we can take a look at the next slide. The lot we bought was a empty lot. Oh, can I do
That's
that?
okay,
Oh,
I'll do it.
perfect.
I'll
No,
do
I
it.
can do that. That's fine.
You just click that.
You can see it was an empty lot. It was really just an eyesore. It was weedy. It was rocky. It was really an absolute mess. And so my wife, my kids, and my friends, we got to work to clean up this lot. We were digging out rocks with crowbars and shovels. It was a real. Let's see. Okay, go ahead. Sorry. First thing we did was we stockpiled, as you can see, the rocks. We had slate, we had stone, we had concrete pieces. We had all types of things that we dug up just so we could use the lot. And over the next bunch of years, I landscaped the lot. I would say I transformed that lot. In the front, you can see we put in a shed. I put in these lawns, from seed, using, the material, planted perennials. We had an area for barbecue, with the parked cars. You can see in the back there, I had a beautiful vegetable garden. I always liked to grow vegetables my whole life. It was really just became a beautiful place. So just across from DeKalb at the dead end is an art gallery, the Ianta Art Gallery, and they show art by local artists. I've been in one of their shows, and they asked to put a sculpture from one of the shows into my lot, and you can see that beautiful sculpture made out of fabric. That was really kind of cool. Great. At the end of DeKalb, you can see the lot is on the right. At the end of DeKalb, there really was nothing there when I got there. So what I did was I took all those rocks are from the lot that we dug up, believe it or not. And I got topsoil, planted rose bushes, and made a real beautiful place. It's kind of like, I would say, like an oasis in the neighborhood. People come and they take pictures. We've even had people take wedding pictures back there. Really just a very pretty spot. Okay, so on the north side of the lot, most of the length of the lot is the Spear Cemetery. It's an abandoned cemetery. And a nonprofit group right now is maintaining the cemetery. I think someone from that group is here tonight. And they're doing a beautiful job. They have periodic events there, for the public to come. And I've been involved in the past in helping out on the cemetery. You can see this image is it's a brick entranceway that I designed, herringbone design, 10 feet by 14 feet that I designed and installed at the entrance on Broome Street. Go to the next one. I've also been involved, and you can see another Facebook posting. That's me with my lawnmower mowing the lawn over there. A year and a half ago, I called Nicole from GRO and about possibly building, a house. And I told her about the property. It's just a very unique property, a green space surrounded by backyards and the cemetery. And I told her one thing that was most important. I wanted to build something that was architecturally interesting, a beautiful house for me and my family, to use. That was the most, important thing. And here we are today, and we're really, excited to show you all the plans, and we think it's going to be a very positive thing for the neighborhood. So I appreciate your hearing from me.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
Nicole?
Yes. Hi.
Do you swear that the testimony you provide this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please state your full name.
Nicole, Nicole, Robertson, Robertson.
Thank you. Witness is sworn.
Okay. Yeah, so as Richard explained, he contacted us about a year and a half ago to design a house for the property. What we're presenting today, actually, I'm going to back up a little bit and look at the history of the lot and talk a little bit about the unique aspects of this property. So 30 DeKalb is a 4,446 square foot lot, which is pretty big, actually located at the end of DeKalb Avenue, east of Van Rapen Street, just south of the Spear Cemetery. It is super unique, as Richard said. It's really a magical location, but it's been, I guess, empty for a long time, with the exception of the improvements that Richard Isgard has made over the years. As Ron mentioned, Mr. Shaljan mentioned, there was an approval for the property in 2013 for a three-story, three-family development, which sought several variances, actually. There were side yard and rear yard variances for this. It was really a very boxy kind of shape. I think there was a lot of resistance to this in the community, but it did get approved with variances, as well as parking for three cars were approved on the site. Now, of course, this has expired, but what did come out of the approval was subject, it was really subject to an investigation into the cultural resources of the site, because there was concern about its adjacency to the Spear Cemetery. And I wanted to share that, we did take a look at that report that was prepared in August 2013, which did show, and I've zoomed in on a section here because I know there's been some discussion about, what occurred on this site. And that report showed that through a cartographic analysis and geophysical investigations led to the conclusion that it is unlikely that the subject property was used as a cemetery. There is no evidence that archaeological or human remains are present. Most recently, in December 2024, as part of the owner's due diligence to be sure that he would have no surprises in developing the property, we did have a geotechnical report also conducted, where there were 7 test borings and 4 test pits dug. And similarly, this concluded there were some fill materials, concrete fragments, asphalt, steel, and I think there were some stone pillars, but nothing of, archaeological or human remains kind of significance. The location of the site, again, I'm pointing out, its unique location, and also just the history of the site again. The Spear Cemetery is highlighted in green in the zoning map, and you can see 30 DeKalb is here, adjacent to it. And I'll just read this actually because it's very interesting. Abraham Spear, a local undertaker, bought the Spear Cemetery property from the DeMott estate in 1857 and turned it into a public cemetery. Abraham Spear also owned a separate parcel of property south of Spear Cemetery that included the present-day 30 DeKalb, where my mouse is, as well as 30, 32, 34, and 36 Highland Avenue. So that orange rectangle shows what was also owned by Abraham Spear. But he constructed 4 houses on those properties, and 30 DeKalb was left vacant. And he used that property as a place to process remains, but it was never used as a burial site. This is a survey of the existing property that you can see. It is very unique. One of the projects presented tonight talked about a flag lot condition. This is also a flag lot with the exception that it does not really have a pole. So we don't have a kind of long sort of traverse into the site. We have just a very short interface with the end of DeKalb Avenue. And that is really, actually I have some diagrams that'll explain it further. Later on. But it is a very unique condition in that the site is kind of landlocked a little bit and interfaces only with DeKalb over 23 feet. These are site images of the existing conditions of the site when we came to it. And the conditions on DeKalb, you can see that there's actually a lot of parking. This DeKalb is really the backside of many buildings that front onto Highland, and there's quite a bit of parking actually on this street that you can see in the adjacent building at 38 to 40 Highland Avenue on the back side, which is adjacent to 30 DeKalb. You can see 5 cars parked right there, as well as a number of garages on the street. The block plan, again, shows our site highlighted, this unique condition. Indeed. And then we've created a diagram that shows what the zoning allows for allowable setbacks, and we've hatched in red what would be permitted. It is quite unusual. I'm just going to zoom in on it. We spent a lot of time talking with the planners about what would be defined as the front yard for this site, and the front yard is really the length of lot line that interfaces with DeKalb. So it's 23'3" here is marked front. And then just to the left, fronting on Spear Cemetery, so north is down in this image. Fronting on Spear Cemetery, that's all considered side lot. And then we have side lot on either side. And then our rear lot backs up against these 4 properties to the south. So it's very unique. But you can see that with the allowable setbacks, that what would be permitted is a footprint that's 2,878 square feet, as well as 3 stories, which would yield a building area of 8,634 square feet. And we created a representation of what that might look like, what the zoning, the as-of-right condition would allow this kind of structure, as well as, a 0 lot line setback, which is one of the things that we'll talk about a little bit more, but fronting onto Spear Cemetery, which is a vacant property. It is not, there's no ownership. It's actually taken care of, as you can see, by the sort of generosity of neighbors. But it is a vacant property, and therefore side yard setback allows for a 0 lot line on the side yard. So this is what would be permitted. And we also did look at some precedents recently approved at 829 Bergen Avenue. Was an existing building that had 0 lot line setback, and you can see that recently approved in September, just last month, was approved a new building, 11 stories, 77 residential units, with a frontage directly on the Spear Cemetery. And this is our footprint of our proposed structure, showing a very similar condition where we have a small part of the perimeter of the building that fronts onto the Spear Cemetery with 0 lot line. And this is a condition that was approved just recently. Oh, and this is a diagram, or, I've marked this up to show this approval at 829 Bergen that shows this condition. But back to our zoning tabulation chart. So we are really asking, most of what we're asking for is as of right. The variance conditions are, first of all, the minimum lot width, which is really a pre-existing non-conforming condition of this kind of unusual site. And then the other variances that we're seeking tonight are really geared towards parking, because currently no parking is allowed between the building line and the street line. But because of the unusual configuration of the lot, there is no building there, and so that relationship does not exist. So we are seeking 2 parking spaces, which is not uncommon, again, on that street, but that is one of the variances that we're seeking. There's an existing curb cut. We are looking to widen that curb cut to 17 feet in order to allow the cars to turn around. And then the fence height is the other variance that we're seeking. Because the land, the property slopes 4 feet from west to east, the fence line, in order to keep a kind of consistent fence line, the fence has to be taller. And also there was a request from the neighborhood that we provide a higher fence so that we could shield the building more.
Nicole,
Yeah.
since you're talking about that.
Yeah.
Did you have an opportunity early on to meet with the neighborhood?
Yes.
When was that?
So that was in November, it was on November 11th, 2024, so almost a year ago. We met with the building, or with the community at the gallery across the street from the property, and we presented the project that I'm presenting here tonight.
And was there any feedback and any resultant changes in the project as a result of that meeting?
There were a number of changes. This is, I'm showing here, the first floor plan largely remained the same. This is our first floor, which shows a structure that has 2 kind of staggered cubes and then an accessory structure, which is the art studio. This really did not change from what was originally presented. It looks not very different, but the second floor did change. Originally, we were proposing 2 balconies. It was a much more sculptural shape. We had 2 balconies on the rear that there was an expression of, a lot of the neighbors facing the balconies were uncomfortable with those. We were very sensitive to that and removed them from the proposed plan that we're presenting tonight. So the balconies have been removed, as well as the windows that were much larger on the second floor. We've also significantly reduced, that you can see here in the proposed second floor plan. And then we have the height of the building. This is what we presented on November 11th, or a year ago. Actually, the height was not so tall. It was actually only 31 feet up to the roof structure line, but we did have a lot of structure supporting solar panels. So we had extended the kind of angle of the roof so that we could support the solar panels. But in response to the feedback that we got from the community, we lowered those elements, and we worked with the solar company to optimize the panels and make sure that they would still function. And we thought this was, a way of kind of being responsive to what the neighbors had expressed. This is another view of what we presented a year ago. And then what we're proposing here tonight is much lower, and actually that 35 feet mark goes right to even the top of the solar panel, the roof supporting the solar panel. So you can see, I'll just flip through quickly the way the project changed. The other thing I do want to point out too is, the windows on the rear elevation. The original proposal had very large windows, sliding doors on the ground floor we've kept, but at the second level we had very large, floor-to-ceiling windows and balconies. And you can see in the proposal, our final proposal that is reflected in our drawings, the windows are much smaller in size. And there's no balcony. And these are just section drawings that show how the design evolved. I think maybe I can just then jump into what we are proposing tonight.
And the materials, et
Yeah,
cetera.
yep. So the proposal, again, the vehicular access is where we have our solid red triangle, and then we have the access to, this is a three unit building. On the ground floor is the main apartment, where Richard and Sharon will live, and then at the second floor, there are 2 apartments on that level. We have a lighting plan that shows how we're subtly lighting the property. We have a trash removal plan, which shows trash bins located at the outside and a plan for bringing them out to the street. I think Edwin, our civil engineer tonight, will speak in detail about this diagram that is part of his drawing set, which shows how cars can park into the lot and explains why we've widened the existing curb, but how we're able to park 2 cars. So we're not, causing a additional hardship for parking on the street. Here we have our proposed design. Going into detail here, we have our front yard width. We have a side yard setback of 25 feet from, drawing right. So the primary structure is set back. It's really also, the entire property is enclosed by a 6-foot tall fence, which does get taller at the rear because of the slope in the property. But this is the ground floor. It's a very modest sized apartment. It's 1,900 square feet or so. It's 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, kitchen, living space with, we've honored the 11-foot rear yard setback requirement, in fact, setting back 12'9" further to give space to the neighbors. We're setting back from the Spear Cemetery 4'8" actually for much of the building so that we can allow for a window here to this bedroom. And it also offsets the amount that we're setting back here with this volume. We don't want to create just a total box, so we were trying to still do something sculptural. And this is the second floor plan, which shows what we're doing. Roof plan with our solar panels. Our proposed elevation facing DeKalb has fewer windows on this side. This is north facing towards the cemetery. This wall here on the left, actually the entire facade is clad in a bone white metal panel. It's a very durable material. The materials we're proposing also for the fence are, it's Trex, which is a synthetic material, but it's super durable, so it's not going to cause a kind of maintenance issue along the property line. That was a really important aspect. And this is the proposed rear elevation again, which I showed earlier, showing windows that are really in keeping with the windows that you see across at the neighboring houses on Highland. And actually, I have a photo of what those houses look like, and it's actually kind of remarkable to see how, the windows that we're using on our project are very similar in proportion and in quantity to the ones that are immediately across from this over the fence. And you can see in this image the fence is something that we gave a lot of consideration to. It is quite tall. As I said, it's 6 feet around the entire property and then drops down. This image probably shows it best. So this is the view from the neighbors. There was a request from the neighborhood that we make the fence higher for privacy reasons. So we did do that. And so that is one of the variances that we're seeking because of the height. So you can see at this side facing the neighboring houses, it's at 8'9" at this lowest section, and then 10'7" even from grade.
Nicole?
Yes.
Would you address, one of the variances is the front yard landscaping requirement?
Oh,
Would you
yeah.
address that, please?
Yes. Yeah, the front yard landscaping was a challenge because we're providing parking spaces and a widened curb cut in order to allow for the cars to turn around. We weren't able to comply with the 30% requirement for landscaping in the front yard, but we did talk with planning about this, and we're providing other areas of landscaping. We have a strip of landscaping on the right here. We have landscaping here at the front. We have more landscaping at the back, and then, there's a lot of outdoor space, and we're also not maximizing the building footprint. We're 500 square feet less than the allowable building footprint, so we're not, and we're half as big as actually what would be allowed.
So in
Yeah.
effect, you've moved the front yard landscaping to the left on that
Yes.
diagram, and now it's where the setback is.
That's right.
Right.
Yep. Elevations. This is going back to the fence view. This is our block elevation, which shows how the adjacent multifamily building where Richard and Sharon currently live is actually, our proposed structure is smaller. It's much smaller, actually. And it fits in, though. It kind of blends, it slopes and blends with that height differential. Then these are our building sections. I'll just go through this quickly. Details of the fence. We thought a lot about the fence. It's a gate. It has a pedestrian door so that if you come home, as a pedestrian, you can open this gate, or slides open for vehicular access. We have mailboxes at the exterior and a number. I mean, we're really beautifying, I think, the end of this street, which otherwise could look rather neglected. We've done solar studies as well. Any of these that I would zoom into really show that, the multifamily building next door actually casts the most shadow, and shadows are cast all around. This structure really doesn't add to shadow casting in any kind of significant way. And this is a kind of final rendering that you saw at the beginning, which shows how we're enclosing the property in a fence that provides security and really beautifies the end of the street. And, it's a kind of sculptural, not maxed out structure. It's modern. It's what our client is very excited to build, and we're really excited to have been a part of it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nicole.
Do you have anyone else presenting?
Yes, I do.
Okay, then we'll save our questions to the end.
I have our civil engineer here if there are any questions, but I think Nicole covered the real issue about the parking circulation with the diagram that she had. So my only other witness would be the planner, Catherine Gregory, who's here. Catherine?
Do you swear that the testimony you provide this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Please state your full name.
Catherine Gregory, Gregory. Business address is 96 Linwood Plaza, number 350 in Fort Lee, New Jersey.
Thank you. Witness is sworn.
Catherine, would you provide your planning testimony to support the C variances that are only required on this project?
Absolutely. So I love when I get to testify after Nicole because she makes my job really easy as a planner. She's very, very exhaustive in explaining the project and the process. And so I think she's really set me up very well for justifying what I consider to be hardship variances, or C1, associated with this property. Interestingly enough, this property was found to have a hardship back in 2013. And obviously, Nicole explained this to you as to why. This property doesn't really have a lot of street frontage. It's on a dead end. It's bordered by a cemetery. It's bordered by the rear of other properties. So there are a lot of limitations, and the architect has done a really good job explaining why the site is so unique and how the design has adapted to this property. However, unfortunately, we can't meet every single regulation in the zoning ordinance. The first of which is lot width, because how it's measured, we have a little over 23 feet. We have 23-3 inches, and 25 feet is required, but that's just the frontage. But when you look at the overall lot, it's actually 4,446 square feet. So I think that that obviously it's a pre-existing non-conforming condition, and at least we do have street access. It's not completely landlocked. So I think that that pre-existing nonconformity can be granted as a variance in this condition. She also talked about the parking between the building line and the street line. Because we need to have parking right off the frontage, which is limited, and where we put the building, we don't really have an option for providing parking elsewhere. Otherwise, now we're taking the cars and we're bringing them well into the lot, which I don't think any of the neighbors would want. We want to keep it closer to the street. And as you saw from her photos, there are many cars that are already lining DeKalb because of a lot of the other properties that are deeper. That really becomes the back of their properties. So we're kind of just conforming with the neighborhood, if you will. We also need a variance for that curb cut. I don't know if that, okay, it went blank, sorry. Oh, there we go, great. We also need the variance for the curb cut width, as she discussed. 10 feet is permitted, 12 feet is actually existing, and we're proposing that 17 feet. She also discussed the need to have cars turn around. She showed you the turning template, so we really kind of need to have that width, but we're not really impacting anything at this location because we're at the end of the dead-end street. So it's not as if we're taking away parking. Plus, the street itself is actually really narrow. You can't park on it. So there's really no detriment in allowing a curb cut that's wider than the 10 feet. It would be completely different if we were talking about Highland Avenue or somewhere else. But considering the location of this particular piece of property, I believe that it is warranted. We also need that variance for front yard landscaping. We are required to have 30% of the area between the building line and the street line required to be landscaped. However, again, Nicole talked about the difficulties because we want to have some parking on site, so that's where the landscaping would be. But it does end up that 14.6% of the lot is going to be landscaped. She pointed out those areas to you, and we are providing that solar coverage as well. And then lastly, we need a variance for the fence height. And 4 feet is permitted, and we are proposing 6 feet, which grades up to about 10 feet in certain locations. And we do think that in this instance, the benefits outweigh the detriments. As you heard the testimony, we met with the neighbors. They actually wanted a higher fence, and we do have a very unique property that abuts the rear of other properties. So I believe in this particular instance, a higher fence is technically warranted. And so I will get to also the special reasons or the positive criteria. I think we promote several of the purposes of the municipal land use law associated with this application. One would be Purpose A, talking about promotion of the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. And if you're familiar with the state plan, we are in Planning Area 1, where in the case of Anfusa versus Sealy, it found that if you promoted a state goal, then you promoted the public welfare. And we are providing housing on a lot that has existing infrastructure. And that's one of the tenets of the state plan. I also believe that we promote Purpose C, which talks about providing adequate light, air, and open space. We are not violating any of the bulk regulations on this lot, interestingly enough, and we are not maximizing the actual massing that we could, as shown by our architect in the plans. We are providing a smaller building, so I believe that we are providing adequate light, air, and open space on this and the adjacent properties. I also believe that we promote Purpose E, which talks about establishment of appropriate population densities. We are not exceeding the appropriate population density for this zone. We're also providing sufficient space and appropriate locations for a variety of uses, which includes residential. And you may know that the U.S. is actually short millions of housing units. I've been testifying about this actually for a couple of years, and if you think about it, back in 2008, we had a little bit of a mortgage crisis and a lot of building stopped, but our population kept growing. So the latest article that I was able to find was produced by Zillow and found that America's housing shortage actually grew to an all-time high of 4.7 million housing units. And I know this is only 3 units, but we are helping to fill that gap, if you will, in an appropriate location, as I stated before. I also believe that we promote Purpose I, which talks about promoting a desirable visual environment. Well, granted, our applicant already beautified the lot, we know this, but now he wants to beautify it in a different way with a unique structure that's appropriate for him and his family, and along with the art studio as well, which really I think helps to create another sense of community. And then lastly, I have to talk about the negative criteria. I don't believe that there's any substantial detriment to the public good by the granting of these variances. As I stated before, most of them really have to do with the hardship of the property. And then also, I don't believe there's any substantial impairment to your zone plan and zoning ordinance. I also did look at your last master plan, and we promote a couple of the land use principles in that plan. And one would be to continue efforts to enhance residential neighborhoods. I believe that's what the applicant is doing here. and to ensure the city's available housing is balanced and meets the needs of all current and future city residents, which would include our applicant who will be living at this property. So with that said, I do believe that we meet both the positive and the negative criteria for the granting of the bulk variances associated with this application.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
Want to have any questions of Catherine?
Well, first, we're going to hear from the public. Okay. So if there's anyone out in the public who would like to make any comments or statements, please line up by the microphone so that you can come forward and address the commissioners.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you will provide this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So
I
help you
do.
God? Please state your full name and spell your last.
Jennifer King, King.
And your address, please.
843 Bergen Avenue, Jersey City, New Jersey, 07306. Good evening. I am the president of the Friends of Spear. We're a 501c3 nonprofit, and we're working to save the history of Spear, have been for many years. The owner, Mr. Isgard, was sent an email with some concerns that we had, that a couple of neighboring people, including Spear Cemetery, had. And his response in regard to, he stated in 2004, there was, the boring and the tests were done, but this July in 2005, while they were digging in the cemetery, they found 2 gravestone markers. 2 days later, he did give them to us, but where do we put them? Because the bodies are on 30 DeKalb. So regardless to the tests that were being done, I don't know where they tested or what areas were done, but obviously there are bodies there. And it, okay, so are we putting my time? Are we timing?
Right, let them finish speaking, please. You'll have time to ask questions and comment afterwards.
Thank you. I'm sorry?
No, I stopped the watch.
Thank you very much. Also, we never saw the results. Who took this test? What were the results? Was it supervised? Who was it supervised by? We didn't have any of this information. Then I'd also like to say that Mr. Joseph, I'm sorry if I ruined the name, Penigleman?
Pangilinan, yes.
Yes, okay, thank you. He stated in an email, quote, "In the case of the subject building mentioned above, 30 DeKalb, the 0 lot line building will be built next to a lot, Spear Cemetery, that will require to be assessed for maintenance to the building to be performed. Since Spear Cemetery is currently abandoned and in transition of being acquired by the city," I'm sorry? Okay, an easement cannot be arranged at this time. I've heard nothing about the city acquiring the land, and I'd like to quote from uslegal.com. "A cemetery is not abandoned as long as it is kept and preserved as a resting place for the dead, with anything to indicate the existence of graves, or as long as known and recognized by the public as a graveyard." It is not a vacant lot. There are bodies there. There are gravestones. There are people's family members buried there. To build right on the line, even if it was done at 829 Bergen, that was in 1940. We know better now. So it should not be on the line. In all the other cases today, there was a 5-foot easement. Why don't we get the same? It's not right. Thank you.
Do you swear that the testimony you will provide this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
State your full name, please.
Andrea Liu,
Spell your last,
LEW,
and your address, please.
2962 Decatur Avenue, Bronx, New York.
2962?
Mm-hmm.
Decatur Avenue. Thank you.
Sure. So, good evening. I am a local realtor. I am a 30-year resident of Jersey City up until last year. I'm the founder of the Bergen Square the Bergen Square Historical Association and a founding member of the Journal Square Community Association, and I spearheaded the new construction committee for them. And I was here, well, not here, but City Hall, and testified when the prior owner asked for variances. And I objected very strongly back then. But right now, I'm here because I support this project, not only because it adds to the community, but also it's zero chance that there are any bodies on that property. The gentleman who threw the tombstones onto 30 DeKalb is somebody I know personally who told me, I was told by him that he was the one who threw the headstones there. I am 100% confident that these owners went above and beyond to prove that there are no bodies on this lot, and I support the project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you swear that the testimony you will provide this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your full name,
Ruth Jackson,
spell your last name,
Jackson,
and your address, please.
34 Highland Avenue.
I'm sorry, 34?
Highland Avenue,
Thank you.
directly in front. Good evening and thank you.
Good evening.
I'm going to start straight away on the variance of the two-car parking and curb cut. We collectively, the residents of Highland Avenue that are affected, are concerned about the fire risk and emergency access. The reasons are the 5-foot setback of the art studio from the property line, no information on the fire rating on the studio's exterior wall, no sprinkler system in this unit. The art studio is built next to a 30-foot spruce tree, which you've seen in that clip, and the street is too narrow for trash removal, therefore fire emergency service. Therefore, a two-car parking area located in front of this building would obstruct and access the emergency vehicles and restrict maneuverability during an emergency situation, especially since this is a landlocked lot with one means of egress. For these reasons, we respectfully request the variance not be granted. The variance in the fence height of 8 feet, we collectively agree with the request of a caveat that this installed at the start of construction. This condition is intended to minimize the impact of dust, debris, and general disturbance of construction site on neighboring properties, allowing residents to continue a safe, comfortable use of their garden during a building of this process. Other concerns we have identified regarding building code compliance on the first floor wall design. The allowable open ratio per code is 45%. This first floor bifold doors of 9'5", 7 bifold doors of 9'5" comes to 67.5, which exceeds the allowable limit by 15%, therefore not compliant. We request all these solutions to be granted and in resolution and have revised plans. We would like the board to understand that these developers are both neighbors and friends for 7 years of many of the homeowners affected by this proposal. The locational development immediately impacts the neighbors of 36 to 28 Highland Avenue and Spear Cemetery. The neighborhood is directly affected by, the rest of the neighborhood is not directly affected by this construction. It is deeply upsetting that throughout this process, the communication both the developer and the planning board has been very unclear and at times dismissive when residents have sought clarification. In the event, the amended plans have not been available until today, so we had no opportunity to review it. We had no opportunity to even see the size of these 6'6" windows that were previously presented in previous plans. We have a very close-knit, respectful community on Highland Avenue. Our collective goal is not to obstruct progress, but to ensure the development, transparent, compliant, considerate manner that protects the character and safety of the harmony of the neighborhood. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you swear that the testimony you provide this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your full name.
Michael O. Michael Ohoh.
Each and your address, please.
30 Highland Avenue.
All right, thank you.
Good evening. Just before I started, just want to point out that I have not received the letter notice of the variance that we are discussing tonight. Also checked the Tyler page portal. There was nothing on there, so pretty much so there's lack of transparency, keeping the public in the dark. As far as the 2-car parking variances, I also oppose because the streets are very narrow. And for myself, as a dad who drive my daughter back and forth to school, the traffic can be very long during rush hour, so it's extremely inconvenient. As far as the 8-inch fence height increase, I agree with that, as long as the fence is being built at the start of the construction. That way to minimize the disruption of the neighbors. And then in the map, I did see 10 HVAC compressors, which would generate a lot of noise, and that's my portion of the backyard. I think this would cause potentially a health issues such as headaches and migraines. So maybe as a solution, maybe I can urge the board to require vibration isolators, or maybe sound absorbing fences, or maybe a quieter HVAC units. As far as the human remains, in the case of human remains are found during the property being built, I want to ask, should the process be stopped? And also during this excavation, will there be a city rep present during make sure there's no human remains? And also want to raise a question, why would the older lot owner sell the unit without being built if there's no human remains? 1 minute, okay. Just wanted to also point out the architect did not specify the fire resistance rating of the exterior walls. For all of these closing, here to urge you to postpone any decisions until these violations and concerns are met. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Ma'am, do you swear that the testimony you provide this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so
Yes, ma'am.
State your full name, please.
Marta Vanessa Claudio, Claudio.
And your address?
36 Highland Avenue. Thank you. Hi. Hi, everyone. Okay. I don't know if you can see this because I didn't know we had to use this, but I printed my picture. This was in 1998 when I bought the house of 36 Highland Avenue. And I talk about the tree. They'll tell you. It's about my Christmas tree. This is how it was, 1999. This is how it is now. That's how much that tree grew from there to now. And as you can see in this one, it has a face, because I do talk to him. And I sprinkle water, and we both get wet in the summer. I'm sorry, I'm just nervous. This is how it is. You see the building right there? That's where Richard lives. Okay, and then this is my tree, the tree that you saw there. Okay, that's how big it is. I love my tree, and this is the back of the tree where Richard's property is. So every year I try to trim it so it won't hit nothing. I trim on Ruth's side, I trim on my side, and I still talk to my tree. Don't think I'm crazy because I'm not. But it's just, he's there. He's been there. And that's the love of my heart. Because when I moved in that house 27 years ago, and I went to the upstairs room, that's the first thing I saw. And I said, this is where I stay. This is where I die. Because my mother died there too, 2 years ago. But you got to come to the house and see the tree. It's a beautiful blue, I can't say the other word. Spruce. Okay, and I try to light it up on the Christmas time. Como se dice, it's just there, and it's on my property. My concern is that if they start building the little art house, or of course the fence, the roots got to be like tremendous. So it got to be on their side, my side, Ruth's side. would it hurt my roots? You know? Yes, okay, oh my minute. So I'm just finding out that the sack that falls from the Christmas tree, I didn't know that that can light up very quickly. I didn't. And God forbid a fire, you know? God forbid a hurricane, you know? God forbid if they start bombing us. But anyway, if it starts swinging, if they start cutting, like which way would it go? I know I'll be responsible, but it wouldn't be fair. So before they do decide to cut whatever, dig in, to talk to me, because that's my tree. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And see, I did bring some.
Yes, I do.
Please state your full name.
Stephen Dworkin.
Spell your last, please.
D as in David, Workin.
And your address, please.
34 and 36 DeKalb Avenue.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Okay, so me and my wife live across the street from the lot in question, and have been there since we bought the house in 1999. And I just wanted to clarify a few points about accessibility of this dead-end portion of DeKalb Avenue. The garbage trucks were, in fact, coming down that street for many, many, many years. What happened is our house is the only house with a front door on that block. So we were the only people putting out garbage. And I'd say maybe half the time they would fail to come down, just, depending on what happened that day. So I eventually started bringing the garbage out to the neighboring Van Ripen Street. But it is not, it is definitely large enough for garbage trucks. It's large enough for fire trucks. There's a fire hydrant there at the dead end next to the drain that the fire department has maintained all through these years, and it's been recently repainted. And there have been large commercial trucks that came down for tree trimmers who worked on getting rid of some of the dead branches in the cemetery and so on. So I just wanted to mention that, and also that Richard has, in my opinion, made many efforts to work with the community. There's always the possibility that more may be needed, but I hope we all can work together on this. Thank you.
Hello. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you will provide this evening will be the truth, the whole truth?
Yes.
The truth, so help you God. Please state your full name.
Maureen Nally.
Spell your last.
Nally.
N-A-L-L-O.
Y. Just Y.
And your address, please.
47 Highland. I'll be quick, but I'm going to be all over the board. I live across the street from 38, so I'm not directly affected. Everybody here is my neighbor, including Richard, although he said he was here since 2007. I beat him. I've been here since 1966 on Highland. I know I don't look it, but whatever. Couple of things. That is a very narrow street. I'm not saying no to this project, just like the rest of us. I can speak for everyone who's spoken so far. We really need to think about some safety issues here, okay? It's landlocked. The engineer has mentioned it a few times. Everyone has said. So the cars are an issue as far as safety goes, parked right there in front of the house. You know what I mean? If it's gonna be right up against the cemetery, which we do need some space, it's not fair to the cemetery people. It is not abandoned. There's so many things that happen there, just like the cemetery on Newark Avenue. Concerts and stuff, this cemetery is finally picking up some speed. There's activities all the time. Something to visit. I'm saying take a class trip just to DeKalb. It's a magical place, but there's something that really needs to be looked at and think about in various situations at this location. Okay, as far as the garbage truck, They don't, the neighbors, the one neighbor, he does bring his stuff, garbage to Van Ripen because it's a hot mess. The back of 38 where you saw those four parked cars, I grew up there. My cousins lived at 38. I have pictures. We had little birthday parties. We used to cut through the cemetery. Now there's a little wall. That was not always real. It's not a real parking spot. I don't want to speak in unofficial terms, but those four cars, yay for them. They have parking all of the time that they come home. Parking is an issue in Jersey City. However, that's not real curb cut stuff going on right there, but not pointing fingers. Anyway, as a firefighter here in Jersey City, for God help anybody, if there is an issue down there, you would have to go down the block. Let's see, here's the house. I'll be quick. Normally to respond to a fire, the truck with the water in it shows up in front of the house. The truck just past the house. The truck with the ladder is next. These guys would be lined up one after the other. I speak guys as a guys and gals term. Don't, no big deal. What's going to happen? We really need to think about that. As far as her tree and the trees in the cemetery, solar panels, leaves, it's all not a cohesive, fun place to be. Landlocked down in this alley, it is flammable. Leaves are flammable with adding solar panels. I think we need to look at those other issues. I'm talking with my hands now, I'm trying to draw. You really just need to go there and see. I mean, it's a cool looking development. I'm happy to hear that Richard will be living there. I know that he lives in Florida half the year. I don't know what's going on, but anyway, the safety issues need to be addressed. We really need to check this out. But anyway, I'll answer questions too on behalf of me and my experience, but that's not here as a professional. Anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I do. Carmine Manocchio. Manoccchio.
And your address, please.
44 Highland Avenue. Okay, I came unprepared. I live at 44 Highland Avenue. I live at 44 Highland Avenue. And as for garbage trucks, we used to take the garbage out. I have my garage is in the back. And we used to take garbage out for the trucks. They used to come down all the time. As for big vehicles, the garage that Steve, actually the house that Steve lives in now, used to be housing for tractor trailers years ago. So there is some access back there. Steve's a great guy. He does have a lot of stuff for the community and for the neighbors. I approved this project, and that's sincere. That's it. Okay.
Thank you.
Do you swear that the testimony you will provide this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, and
Yes.
nothing but the truth? Please state your full name
Lucia Mezzina, Mezzina,
and your address, please.
44 Highland. I'm married to Carmine. I've been living there 10 years, and I see no issue with it. I think it's a great improvement for the neighborhood. I'm for it. That's it.
Thank you.
Do you swear that the testimony you will provide this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Please state your full name.
Fabio Arroyave, A-R-R-O-Y-A, V as in Victor, E,
And your address, please.
38 Highland Avenue.
Great, thank you.
Good evening, Board. I am for this variance to be approved. I've known the Isgards for 25 years, since they moved into the neighborhood, and Richard is known in many circles as the mayor of Highland Avenue. He's always looking out for the neighborhood. He's always had that property open for access to anybody that lives on the whole block. He's the Isgards are like so kind-hearted, and as when it comes to the property itself, he's always looking to make the neighborhood beautiful. This property is going to make what he's done even better. It's gonna beautify it. It's gonna raise our property values once that house gets pulled in also. And I'm afraid that if Richard does not build this property and he sells that lot, the monstrosity of a building that's gonna be placed there, this is for the better for everyone on the block. When it comes to the put this on record, when it comes to the 5 parking spaces on Highland Avenue, there's 5 deeded parking spots. Those are legit parking spots that are deeded to each owner. And when it comes to emergency vehicles, I've seen fire trucks go back there. I've seen ambulances go back there. I've seen police cars go back there with no issues. And I think Richard and the Isgards as a whole, they've been forthcoming on what changes they've done so far to appease the neighborhood, but it gets to a point where now you're just nitpicking and you really don't want this project to continue, okay? Thank you very much.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you provide this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please state your full name.
James Sukarev,
Spell your last name.
Sukharev,
And your address.
99 Warren Street in Hillsdale, New Jersey. Thank you. Hi. Thank you for hearing from me. I'll try to keep it brief about what I actually know. Yes, absolutely. I will try and keep it brief about what I actually know. I'm Richard and Sharon's son-in-law. I just, within the last year, moved to Hillsdale with my wife and 4-month-old. But prior to that, I lived for 5 years in the apartment next door. Now my brother-in-law is living there with his fiance, trying to save up for a house. Many people have spoken speculatively so far tonight. Maybe this, maybe that, what might be there, what might not be there. I can only speak from personal experience. I've known about this project since the beginning. I've read the Mazur report. I read the more recent geophysical study that was done with the borings and everything like that. I know that there is no mention whatsoever of anyone ever who's been physically on that property finding actual human remains. I can also say from personal experience, having helped Richard for years, tending to the garden, digging things up, re-landscaping things, no one who actually has personal knowledge about what's on that property will ever stand foot in front of this assembly of commissioners and say that they have personal knowledge actually of any human remains there. No one's ever seen it. It's not there. So that is one thing I can actually tell you, right? No, it's never been found. Other than that, there's been made some comment about whether they actually live there or not. My in-laws are amazing to us. They come up here for months at a time. They help me with my child, and they without a doubt live here, and they intend to live here. I think till the end. And so I hope that you grant this application. It would be tremendous for my family. It would be tremendous for Richard and Sharon as well. It would be also tremendous for the community. Right now, it's a vacant lot, right? What they're trying to do is to permit the family to continue to stay there, and possibly other people, since it would be a 3-family, which would be wonderful, I think. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. He spoke already. Can he speak again?
No. Hi, I know I spoke earlier, but I just wanted just a few minutes to just comment on.
I think I'd like to hear from the rest of the community if there's
Sure.
anyone else
I wanna
first.
know
Is there anybody else?
I'm sorry? Well, did you speak already?
Yep. I forgot to say something as well.
Each of the persons have had 5 minutes. Each of the members of the public have had their 5 minutes, and I object to any further testimony. Or 3 minutes, I'm sorry.
Is there anyone who hasn't spoken? Would anyone like to speak who hasn't spoken?
Oh, it's their meeting. We can go again.
Well, he's the applicant and he's testified.
No.
I don't think we need to hear what you're saying. I don't think the board is going to be considering the possibility that something's buried there.
Oh, no, no, I just want to say I'm not a developer. I know
Okay,
someone has said I'm
well,
a developer. I just wanted to tell you, I've never developed a property in my life, and frankly, I'm
Right,
gonna
and that was
stand-
stated before, that was made clear to us.
You know, but,
I have no further witnesses. You've heard the testimony. I would ask you to weigh very carefully what some of the people have said here, because a lot of it is conjecture. It's certainly not scientific. Regardless, if my client is going to build on this property, he has to follow the rules. Now, if there are rules pertaining to the issues that the public have mentioned, vis-à-vis fire, vis-à-vis human remains, vis-à-vis excavation procedures, dust procedures, fire procedures, he's going to follow those procedures. With respect to the plans, there was a comment that the plans were not available. I take issue to that. There was a problem with the portal. It wasn't our fault that the plans were not available to the public, if that was the case. But if I remember correctly, the glitch was corrected and it was available. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Ample time to review the plans has been provided to the public in advance of this hearing.
Right. And secondly, the measure report was downloaded onto the portal, so that was available to the public at least a week or 10 days ago. But getting back to the variances that we're asking for are C variances. They are bulk variances. This is a very, very unusual shaped lot and a very unusual set of circumstances. And that's why we need the relief that only this board can grant. And I think the proofs have been met. And I would ask that you grant all of the bulk variances that we've asked for. Thank you.
Okay, so is there anyone else from the public? Okay, all right, I'm going to close out the public portion of this meeting, and I'm going to have the commissioners make comments, ask questions, whatever it is they would like to do. Excuse me, I usually do the staff after. Okay, you have questions?
Yeah, a couple things. It's I assume, first of all, there's obviously access to the cemetery without any problem, correct? No matter what happens with the project, there would be access to the cemetery, being that volunteers deal with it, correct? All right, so that's number one. I am familiar with several of these things, or at least some of the issues that you bring to play. A lot of them would have to do more so with the construction code office and plans that are presented to them when he does that. And yes, there are rules. If you find any remains or stuff like that, there's accountability with that. So that really shouldn't be an issue. As far as garbage and fire, and even the cars and parking, I was looking at some of the pictures and some of the things. They already exist there in terms of parking. There's garages there, there's cars there. So I understand the fire aspect of it, and I think perhaps, and one thing was nice is seeing all of you together. The one thing that was common was that you are comfortable with Mr. Eisgard and his presence there on DeKalb. So it sounds to me like a lot of these issues you could work through with each other. And what I suggest you do is get your council person to get together with all of you and address any potential fire issues down that block, why the garbage truck doesn't come down as often as it should, save her little Christmas tree. And one other thing, the solar panels. I saw there are a lot of trees there. Are they going to remove any trees or anything? I was just curious how that, I really couldn't tell. Putting solar panels up, I mean the engineer, whoever the person was. I was just curious about that.
Nicole addressed that.
We worked with a solar, Opal Solar.
Okay.
Did a study, and we actually angled the panels. You know, we worked with them to put the angles at an angle that would optimize collection, and they took no issue with the trees. They did not say that we had to move trees because those panels are
Okay, good.
oriented south.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. So it seems like that's not an issue. Outside of that, like I said, most of the issues that you bring up are service issues that the city should address, maybe even repaving that street at some point as well. I mean, it looks like it's due for that. And in doing this, maybe this is the right time to address all those issues, being that you're going to be doing some construction at the end of the block. It's probably good at this point to bring your council person in and discuss this all with that person. Outside of that, I have one little funny question, and that is, did you time this presentation to coincide with Halloween and a cemetery and a project with all this? I mean, it really is pretty good timing, if I might add.
Blame the planner.
That's all I have.
Okay, I have a few questions. Not much was mentioned about the accessory structure. What is the material? What does it look like? The size? Everybody concentrated on the building. And in going along with what my fellow commissioner said, and I'm not trying to be facetious, but the design of that building it looks more like the cemetery mausoleum than it does anything else. And you did mention that there were other buildings in the neighborhood, but I think the other structures in the neighborhood were probably built and looks like the existing structures or the architecture that is in the neighborhood. This does not have any of the architectural features that the buildings in the neighborhood have.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to try to find an image for you of the accessory structure. So the accessory structure is an art studio. We looked at whether this could be a garage. That wasn't something that Richard and Sharon wanted. Richard is an artist, so it's a diminutive structure. We're looking at, it does pick up on the angles of our design. I mean, the style is modern. It's not looking to replicate historic. There's no kind of historic guideline necessarily, but we've been respectful of the height of adjacent buildings and the rhythm and the rhythm and quantity of windows, as I pointed out, relative to the windows that front on Highland. In a way, it does look like these. It doesn't match necessarily in color, but we have two boxes that are basically shifted, which have, windows similar in proportion. So we have reduced the mass of it and tried to speak to, what is immediately south of the property. The accessory structure is a small structure. It's allowed to be, it's set back from the property line just a bit here. We're trying to, we need to have space for the parking, but we need to have space for an art studio so that Richard can do his work. And I think it's very in keeping with the fact that there's a gallery across the street. I don't know, the construction is wood frame construction, but we absolutely plan to comply with all of the building codes. And the percentage of openings on the rear will certainly comply. All of those building code elements will be addressed, and the structure will be adequately built so that it is resistant to fire in compliance with building code.
Does anybody else have any other questions?
Yeah, just one question to piggyback on what you said. All the buildings and the images around it, those are the backs of houses, correct?
Correct.
Those are not the fronts of houses, because it's all by itself.
That's right.
I mean, I had the same concern, but I was thinking that through a little bit, and it didn't come up with any of the residents, like the concern about the design for the most part, but we usually like to keep streetscapes the way they look from the front. So this is like the back. It's not necessarily the front. And this kind of little, I was just thinking that this is my personal opinion, this is just me. The uniqueness of being nestled back there, like by itself, just like if someone wanted to build a solar house or something round or something unique just for the sake of having something different every now and then. That's the kind of spot you would probably do it. That's only in my opinion because of the fact that it is back there. However, to the chairperson's concern, obviously I would definitely feel differently about that if it was like in front, being seen from the front, not necessarily nestled in the back.
It would be
so I just want to
different if
make
this
sure
were
that
cited.
that's,
Yeah.
because I don't want to
Absolutely.
set precedent for we'll do designs on fronts of houses everywhere. No, I want to say this is different because of where it's located.
Yeah.
So, and no one seems to have any issue with it, with the design. And it's solar too.
Okay, and someone did mention about possibly looking at the HVAC system to make sure that they're quieter units so that it's not disturbing the neighborhood or the residents on the other side, and also about having someone on the property to ensure that there are no remains. Would anybody be objecting to that? If you looked at quieter HVAC units or someone around if you start digging and just to make certain there's nobody there buried?
Madam Chair Lady, I think there are reporting requirements that if a contractor comes up with something, he's obligated to call a number and somebody comes. I think that's how it works. I mean, I've never done it.
Let's hope.
but I
Let's
would
hope.
guess that's the way it is.
Yeah, this is a pretty exhaustive report that was prepared by Mazer Engineering, where they really did investigate the site and the history of the site and all of that. But of course, like any requirements of reporting would be done, yeah. But I don't think, as has been said, there's no expectation that there would be human remains here. That was the conclusion of this report.
I've seen it before. You put it up before.
Thank you.
Okay. If there are no other comments, I'd like to hear from the staff. Oh, this poor thing. Hello. We did close the public portion of the meeting.
Okay. I'm Carrie Scarston, and I have a property that is bordered by DeKalb along the side on Van Ripen Street.
Before you continue, do you swear that the testimony you will provide
I'm sorry.
the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Oh, yes.
Please state your full name for me.
Oh.
Your full name?
Carrie Scarston, K-A-R-E, last name S-K-A-R-S-T-E-N.
Thank you, and your address is? Your
Pardon?
address?
18 Van Ripen Street.
Thank you.
So my house faces on Van Ripen, but along the side is DeKalb, which is this short little street, and this is, one part of the areas that is under discussion right now. And I would have no objection, I believe, to having him, build back there. I think that it can maybe enhance the neighborhood, or I also believe if a person owns property, there's a certain right that they have to build what they wish to. So, that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So can we please hear from staff?
Certainly, Chair Coyle. To begin, I would just like to re-emphasize the distinctions between expert and non-expert testimony, especially with regards to the discussion about whether there's bodies in the cemetery. In staff's analysis, we looked into only the technical testimony, the technical documents provided by the applicant, where geotechnical studies and cultural investigation studies were provided on the subject lot, which found that there were no cultural resources and remains that were found in the lot. So that's what we went with. And in regards to, I also want to kind of remind the board that the application in front of you today is 4 to 6 variances that pertain to 4 of them are 12. Well, I'll list them out. But parking in the front yard setback area, the front yard landscaping requirement, curb cut width, and 3 variances regarding fence heights. As discussed earlier today, these half of these variances are done to accommodate neighbors' comments with regards to privacy, to provide additional privacies for the neighbors. And in reviewing the project, we also reviewed it in accordance to the development standards in the R1 section of the code. The bulk and mass of the project is consistent with the residential buildings around it. I know there were comments about the design of the building, but the block face and the street face of DeKalb Avenue is very limited in terms of actual buildings with facades facing it. which is, I believe, there's only one building right across the street from it, which was a previous industrial building that had been converted into a residential structure. In reviewing the project, staff found that it complies with all the standards in the R1 zone. I do have, but in discussing I did discuss one matter with the planning director towards the portion of the structure that was going to be built along the lot line. Though I understand that the applicant provided testimony showing that the durability of the facade material, staff would still have to insist that there be a condition added that an access agreement be reached with the city, which will be the owners of Spear Cemetery. The Spear Cemetery is currently in a transitionary period where the city is trying to take ownership of it. So the city staff wants to add a condition that pending the issuance of the certificate of occupancy, that an access agreement be reached with the owners, with the city as owners of the Spear Cemetery, to enable the applicant or whoever would own that building to be able to maintain it, so they can access that portion of the building.
Maintain
The building.
the
The building, right? As it
Our
abuts,
buil-
the subject building.
Nicole, come up just a minute. One of the things that we wanted to point out, and I asked Nicole the question, was what was the facade that faces the cemetery going to be made of? And
Right.
how was it going to be maintained? Can you answer the question?
Yeah, I did show the metal panel, so it will require minimal maintenance. It's not as if it's wood that needs to be painted or
Right.
anything.
I do understand that it's minimal maintenance, but it would still require maintenance, and for you to be able to maintain it, you would still have to step into Spear Cemetery to do so. You wouldn't be able to maintain it on the subject lot itself because it's built right
We
on
would be
the
willing
lot
to do
line.
that.
Okay, yes, then we would add that
It hasn't
condition.
happened yet, but if it does happen, we would be willing to do that.
All right, then we would be happy to add that. We would be, so you would agree to the condition
Yes.
of, okay. Then, with that said, yeah, staff can support approval of this project.
Okay.
We accept the recommendations in the planner's report, including the last item that was mentioned.
Okay. Okay, so do you have any additional comments or questions? Okay. So now I'm asking for a motion to vote on, hang on, let me get my paper, on Z2024-0076 with conditions.
I'll make a motion to approve case Z2024-006 with the aforementioned conditions.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, Vice Chair Ruel,
Yes.
Commissioner Shadid,
Yeah, I just want to make a comment that my office or my building on Academy Street, so I'm very familiar with the area. I said my office in Academy Street, so I'm very familiar with the area. And it happened several times that I joined the Special Improvement District in General Square and Council Buggiano to clean the cemetery a few times, and I'm honored to do so. And I hope that every neighbor would really share and participate with our owner here to keep the cemetery clean. About the building, I think it is different. It's something out of the box, and that's why I like it. I'm sorry, but I don't agree with the president, but I really like the design very much. Thank you. Yes, my vote's yes.
Commissioner D'Angelo,
Yes.
Commissioner Barron,
Yes.
Commissioner Triplicki,
Yes, happy Halloween.
and Chair Coyle.
No.
Thank you.
Motion passes 5-1.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Do we need a little break there?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we're going to take a 10-minute break. Okay, we'll be back at 8:45. I'm good.
Yes. Do the cliff.
Yeah, right.
They may be all over Jersey City. A few restaurants probably have them downstairs.
Just us, right? Just us?
But they had the Barge Inn, was one of the premier gangster locations all over the United States. I love it. That's why I go there anyway.
Oh God, I don't want to know what's buried in the Bayonne. You guys ready for me?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Didn't need that up yet.
Use the bathroom. Yep, whatever.
Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. I like it too. I think it's beautiful. Which is what I want. Thank you.
Yeah, but I heard you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks, Ron.
Yeah, sorry. We fit in there. Thanks.
Ooh, a smooth operator.
Well, good to see you. Good luck on your next one. Yeah,
You're up next.
just driving all over.
Nice meeting you in person.
Yes,
Only time.
actually, I have some plans coming up.
How are you?
Christmas, New Year's.
Yeah, well, I finally got my computer to work because I've been using those. My son gave
Actually,
me
apparently they have the best powder. in the
his
world.
first
Yes,
headset
I've seen skiing.
from 1998, I think it was.
Because I have hearings
I
all
was
the
using
time.
those
There's not really
things
another time right
like an
now.
old man.
I'm going to
I'm an
Japan.
old man.
I'm going for at least 2 weeks.
Now I can
2.5
speak to the
weeks.
computer.
I get there in Tokyo. And I do travel. Yes. Osaka.
How do we look for the next one? Yeah.
What?
How do we look for the next one?
This one?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm gonna.
Yeah, it's bucket list.
What you call it? The flag?
I still can't believe
Oh yeah, like that. Yeah. Yeah, that's a fun one. I've done a couple of those.
Yeah?
They're usually worse. They're usually hard.
Oh,
Because a lot of the times you're in everyone's backyard, like this case.
Yeah.
You're in everyone's backyard. And everyone's annoyed about it.
Uh-huh.
So I've had some problems. I mean, this one there was a building there already, so it wasn't so bad.
Like we
Yeah.
planned this so far.
But it was, when it used to be like just trees and stuff, and now it's gonna be a building, people don't like it. So it could be, that's why people don't like it.
That was very nice.
Actually
Yeah.
have to reposition.
I like the papers. I gave the papers.
So we're going like a day earlier, taking
nice.
the number just to make
Yeah,
sure that
I
we're
found
there
them
to
in,
take them.
actually in
You
Carolina.
know, so that we get
I
on
went
the
to
plane to
Carolina
get
a
to
couple
Japan.
of
On the way
years
back,
ago.
I
There was
could
a house there.
if
It
I'm,
was a
if I'm,
very long
you know, if I miss a
driveway.
flight and I have to take
We saw
another day,
some
whatever.
papers, and I actually stopped the car and I spoke to the owner.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
great. I
but
think they
so,
were very nice.
because you actually go further up on the globe. It's not
really
like direct across, you go up.
I look forward to continuing working on it. I don't know if you have to do anything more with
So
it.
it's on
Never know.
All right. And thank you so much again for your testimony.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I like all of a sudden I was.
It's so weird, nobody came, like for all the other
Good
ones.
to see you again, my man.
This is not controversial. It's a beautiful building.
Good job up there.
Were you hiding the dead bodies?
Did you see it?
But you weren't
That
here
was
when I
very funny.
said,
Yeah.
12 years ago,
You feel like
I had a three-family approved on this lot.
I did hear that.
Remember that? You heard it, you were here.
Yeah.
And Vinny was here.
Yeah. Didn't you have the cemetery application years ago too?
Yeah, I'm gonna be a specialist.
Yeah, I had one of those where I had people on,
half the size of what we
Forget the
could,
street.
I mean, we do everything possible, do something so good for the neighborhood. And then we feel like
You threw the headstones over when you were dumping the asbestos, right?
that's right, I try to cover up the asbestos with the headstones.
next to the cemetery on the corner, in Berkeley. And Mazer Point, which goes back to the 1600s. That apartment building was built on the cemetery, not adjacent, on the cemetery. He lives on the cemetery. Right. They let them do that, but I swear to you, on the cemetery. Can you imagine? She lives on the cemetery. But anyway, and
Yeah, exactly.
you may not have discussed it, but my property, there's 4 properties with houses that are adjacent to it, going south on Island. It was one property owned by Spear.
No, you're not.
He owned one property, subdivided in like 1873 or something.
Yeah, Nicole went
Sorry,
through
good,
all
good,
this.
good. All those properties, they were never part of the cemetery, they were owned by Spear. He, they got subdivided, so, it just. But anyway, I don't know, it just.
But like she said, you got your view.
Catherine, thank
All right, good to see you. Yep. All right, thank you. Take care.
Have a great trip. Sounds like fun.
Where are you going now?
Over Christmas, New Year's, I'm going to Japan.
Good for you.
Still getting
Keep
down
doing
slope
it.
like you were in your 20s?
Yes, I got really good boost last year. Changed my life dramatically. I was having food issues for years. And I finally got ones that.
Keep doing it.
Taking my kids skiing in Italy in February.
Oh, nice. Where are you going?
Dolomite. And also the
Olympics.
Olympics are the same time. I did not know. But
And then,
so
yeah,
we're gonna go.
it'll be crazy, but it'll be fun.
It'll be fun. So we're gonna go see like a bobsled or something like that.
They're awesome.
Yeah. So we're doing 7 and 4.
Are you a skier too, or just? Okay.
Tell me to give you.
I was like just. Anything else on the golf? Okay, perfect. So I'm not like this. Here like this. I can stop and I can be like, I'm following the
My husband's already got the kids in the tree.
That's what you got it.
Oh, that's so awesome.
You got it.
No, the little one isn't staying on his own, and that's our goal for the first.
Do you have like a home now?
We've been going yesterday. Yeah, we've been very lucky. Our friends are very generous with us.
Teach them early, no fear, so low.
That's awesome.
We took our kids skiing, they were little, and I felt like I couldn't protect them on the slope, like going.
I couldn't do it. You feel comfortable, confident doing it, good for you.
So, good night. I'll see you guys around.
Yep.
Tell him, hey, tell him he owes you money. Just tell him, hey, tell him he owes you money. My man, how are you?
All right, let's
One little mistake. They really like you there.
Thank you.
It's like next to a loop over there. Oh, right at the loop. Used to be an Arby's, it's not an Arby's anymore.
I did another, I got, the other thing I just got received from another friend, it's a small redevelopment project. They really, they're not surprised, they're getting through the redevelopment process.
Okay, what, sweetie?
Whatever you want done. Oh, is this gonna increase the tax base? Yeah, okay, great. Right, exactly. Oh, this will bring workers and jobs and everything, great.
Look at me and I'm like,
Okay, may I have your attention? We would like to resume with our meeting. I think our commissioners are here.
we're here.
I hate to break up the party, but here we are.
Oh, yeah, good. Here, I'll move over. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, at this time, we will hear case Z2025-0011, minor site plans with DNC variances for 219 Sip Avenue. Mr. Wine?
Sure. Good evening, Madam Chair, Commissioners, Benjamin Wine of Prime Tuvel and Maselli on behalf of the applicant, Goodka Holdings, Inc. This application is for the property located at 219 Sip Avenue, and for the record, that's block 12003, lot 2, and we are in the R1 zone. This is actually kind of a cool project, actually, for me to be able to bring to this board. As if you're familiar with the site, it is located on the south side of Sip Avenue and presently developed with a single-story commercial building that has been on this site, we know, at least since prior to 1938, based on the tax records and the tax card and actually the image you're seeing on the screen. And over the years, what started as a very ornate, nice single-story commercial space, actually it looks like it was a grocery store with some neat architecture there, turned into a much more industrialized, commercialized version of the single story, which had absolutely no real architectural elements. It's a lot of metal, a lot of roll-up doors and paneling, and frankly, it looks out of place, and it is out of place. And if you go up and down this block on Sip Avenue, while it is zoned R1, there's not really a use on that block front that is an R1. And in actuality, in working with city planning for about a year on this project, we had to do our due diligence to determine, is that commercial space permitted to be there in the R1, or is it not? And it was found that since it's been there, since, as you can see on the left over there, since at least 1938, it's not considered a use variance to have commercial on this lot. And it's a little bit of a unique situation. And I mentioned the block front. If you go right along the block, every single one of the buildings there, except for our immediate neighbor, is a mixed-use building of 3 stories with residential on top of neighborhood commercial. And that really was the motif for this block front, and something that we are looking to reintroduce to this block front. So what we're proposing here today is to actually bring back the architectural aesthetic that you see on the left there for that single-story portion, the commercial use. And as we go through our testimony and our presentation, I hope you'll agree that it's a really nice way to redevelop or rehabilitate this building. And on top of that commercial space and behind it, we're looking to propose residential as well. So again, from a massing perspective and from an aesthetic perspective, it's going to look similar in scale and scope to those, I believe it's four properties that are side by side with that residential over commercial motif. Like I said, we've worked very closely with city planning over the year, over about a year, to come up with the project that you're going to see, and we feel is really just right and what's appropriate for this site, given its context and given historically what's been there. I also want to indicate for the record that while this application was deemed complete several months ago and ready to go before your board, we did engage in conversations with the immediate next door neighbor to the west, who is represented by Mr. Harrington, who's here this evening, and that neighbor is the only one who reached out with any particular concerns. And often what happens at these meetings is, we show up and we look around the room and there's people who are here to talk about, object to, or support an application. And I think that it was beneficial that we were able to have those conversations before appearing to you, before you. And a couple of the highlighted issues, which again we'll go through, really focused on drainage and to ensure, given the slope, that we're not creating any stormwater management concerns for that neighbor. And we were able to address that successfully with the neighbor. And again, you'll hear from Mr. Harrington, hopefully confirming that. And the second major, while there were a couple other minor items, the second major one specifically was this project began its life with a building that went further back on the property with only a 10-foot rear yard setback, I believe all the way up. And one of Mr. Harrington's client's concerns, Mr. Patel, was that he didn't want it to extend so far specifically on the upper stories. So what we did is we actually pulled back the lower story as well to 18 feet, and you'll hear the reason why that number. And on the upper stories, we pulled it back significantly more to approximately 28 feet, again, very specifically to align exactly with the neighbors' upper stories of their building to avoid any potential light, air, or open space impacts. And so that's really the genesis that has brought us here tonight, and that we've worked on diligently over a year. And we're proud to present you this project. So just some high level, we are here obviously before the zoning board, implying that we do have a D variance. The D variance is for the density. So based on the lot size, 3 units are permitted, and we are proposing 5 units. Again, this was part of conversations with the city to determine what's the appropriate unit count for this property, given the context, given our location right across from Journal Square and all that. And then the other variances we have, one of them is hyper-technical, I would call it. It's the front yard setback. Since the existing ground floor is at 0 feet, where 4 feet is required, we're seeking to carry that all the way north, so to speak, all the way vertical. So technically the upper stories are matching that 0 foot. And then we also have the rear yard that I mentioned. And then lastly, we do have a lot coverage variance as well, where 75% is permitted, and we are proposing 86.82. So we intend to present to you this evening 2 witnesses: our project architect, who's going to take you through the site plan, his designs, his thought process, and ultimately what we believe is a really beautiful way to beautify this site with a great building. And finally, we have our project planner, Carolyn Rostel, who will take you through the justifications for the relief that I just indicated. So with that, unless you have any questions of me, I'm happy to proceed with Mr. Lewis.
Yes, I do. Thank you.
All right, so Jeff, take us through the existing conditions and what we're proposing.
Okay. So we do have a slightly oversized lot here located on the south side of Sip Avenue. We are 25 feet wide. We do have a little bit of extra depth. And we also have this angled front that you can see here. Gives us a little extra as well. That's common to all the properties here on Sip Avenue. They're all a little bit askew. As was mentioned, we have a 1-story building currently on the site. It's the Sip Cleaners building. And I did also want to show the 1938 tax photo to show not only that a commercial space was here for that long, but also to show that elevation, because we are bringing some of those features into our existing building, most notably the brick finish, as well as the roof line that we have here on the first floor, and we'll see that when we get to the elevations. Okay, let me just zoom back out so we can go through the site plan here. So we are proposing to keep the existing building and then add to it to create a 3-story building with ground floor commercial and 5 residential units. The ground floor commercial is 850 square feet and also has an additional 713 square feet of cellar storage, which is accessed directly from the commercial space. The apartments break down as one 425 square foot studio that's located on the first floor. And then above, we have 4 2-bedroom apartments that are between 717 and 806 square feet. Looking to the site plan, we are proposing a new street tree in front of our property. And as I mentioned, we are keeping the existing building. So that means keeping the existing building setbacks, which are 0 feet at the front and 0 feet along both sides as well. I did want to note that the neighbor that we're talking about here on the west is the one to the right of us. He also is on the property line and has some insets with windows in them, and we are actually providing 3-foot by 10-foot window wells to match both of his window wells, so that he has the light and air that he needs for those windows. On the left side of the building, we're also cutting away some of the existing building so that we can provide a 4.5-foot walkway from the front of the building to the back of the building for egress purposes. Looking at the rear yard, we have a staircase which goes down to the cellar, and then we have a 344 square foot lawn area which is going to be accessible to all the building tenants. And all of this is enclosed by a 6-foot tall wood fence. I do want to note here, as was mentioned, that Sip Avenue does slope from east to west across our property, so it's coming from this way down this way. There are actually retaining walls next to our yard on both sides, but neither of these retaining walls are on our property. They're both on our neighbor's property. But as was mentioned, we are working with the neighbor that is downslope of us to make sure that we take care of our water and none of that ends up on his property. So one thing we've agreed to is the retaining wall that is currently on his property, we're going to add to it and make it a foot taller than it is now, again, to help make sure that this water stays on our property. And then we also worked with him on our civil plan to make sure that we have the proper drainage in this backyard. I do have the plan if anyone wants to show it. We are proposing a trench drain at the bottom of that stair with a sump pump to make sure water doesn't flood in there. A drain in the back, as well as 2 drains along the side of the building, all going straight to the city sewer system. So we
Just while you're on that, because I neglected to mention, it was something that also came up with the neighbor. We just want to ensure that the sump pump as well is going to be, we've agreed to ensure that is has a gas backup in case there's a power outage. Is that correct?
Yeah, that could just plug into a gas powered generator and run during any power outage, so we won't flood if that's the case. Okay. With that, we're going to jump into the floor plans here. This is the existing plan on the top for the cellar, and then the proposed plan on the bottom. We are keeping the existing cellar and then extending it to the back of the building. In the front, we have our meters and our sprinkler room, as this will be a fully sprinklered building. Here we have our residential trash area and recycling. Then we have storage areas for the apartments. There are 5 individual areas, 1 for each apartment. And then a 6th storage area in the back, which would be for building storage, and that's where we have the door directly out to the backyard. Then at the bottom of the drawing here, we have that commercial storage that I mentioned, and it has the stair here going directly up into the ground floor commercial space. And here we are again with the existing first floor at the top and the new here at the bottom. So first, starting at the bottom of this drawing, we do have that egress corridor. It's a 4'6" wide egress corridor connecting to the rear yard. In the center of the building, we have the ground floor commercial area. As I mentioned, 850 square feet. We are also providing an ADA bath in that space, as well as what I mentioned, the stair going down directly to the basement. And then at the top of the drawing, we have the residential entrance, which provides us with access to the staircase. Down the hall, we have our bicycle storage room, which is sized for 4 bicycles, as well as that studio apartment, which is here on the ground floor in the back. This ground floor apartment is ADA adaptable and has a washer dryer in the unit and a furnace for heat and air conditioning. Moving to the upper floors, on the bottom here, I have the 2nd floor. There are two two-bedroom apartments on this floor. They're both two-bedroom, two-bath apartments. You could see at the top of the drawing here where those two window wells are, and they're just providing a little bit of extra light for us. They're really more for our neighbors' windows. Also in the back, as was mentioned, we're stepping in about 10 feet from the ground floor. We did that to match exactly with the neighbor at 221 SIP. And we're using that space to provide a 189 square foot roof deck, which is for this back apartment, number 202. Looking at the third floor, it's a similar floor plan. The rear apartment actually is exactly the same, except minus the roof deck. The front apartment, again, we've modified it slightly so that it can have an internal staircase going up to its own private roof deck. And so here we are on the roof plan where we have the stair going up from apartment 301. It leads to a 324 square foot private roof deck. There are also 856 square feet of green roof. And then we have our condensers for the residential units, which are enclosed with a 42-inch tall solid panel fence, just for a little bit of sound buffering. Moving on to the building elevations. We have our proposed elevation on the left and the existing elevation on the right. We do feel that the proposed elevation is more appropriate for the street than what's existing. As I mentioned, we did make some of these decisions based on that tax photo from 1938. Among them was choosing the smooth red brick finish, which is what it looked like we had there. It's hard to tell, but it's what we assume it was. And we also, as you can see, brought back that first floor roof line. And we're doing that, it's a fake roof line, but we're basically mimicking the existing roof line with some cast stone, I think it's 4-inch wide cast stone, which would have been probably what they had finished their roof with back then. Besides that, we also have a 3.5 foot tall decorative black metal cornice at the top of the building, and you can see some of those details here. It's a very decorative cornice. We have all black aluminum frame windows and doors, black aluminum railings at the balconies. These are just Juliet balconies at the third floor. And we have these slate gray aluminum panels at the upper levels as an accent material. Looking to the rear elevation, this is much simpler. We just have a light gray smooth stucco finish at the ground floor, and then a light gray vinyl siding above, and then the same windows and doors and railings as we were proposing on the front elevation. Here we're looking at the left side, which is the side with the egress corridor. We're proposing again at the ground floor that smooth stucco finish. We're also going to have a stucco finish wherever we're on the property line, which on this elevation is this small section here. And then up above where we are set back from the property line, we have that same light gray vinyl finish that we had on the rear elevation. The other thing you could see here is that we are using white vinyl for the bulkhead. This is the stair bulkhead here. This is something you won't be able to see from the street, but we're proposing a lighter color siding anyway. And then lastly, here we are on the west elevation. Here, most of this elevation is located on the property line, so it's finished with a smooth stucco finish, and just those two window wells are finished with the gray vinyl siding. And that actually concludes the architecturals. Is there anything you want me to hit on?
I think that's good. I have nothing further for Mr. Lewis.
Okay, so we'll move on. You want to ask a question, or you want to move on to?
We'll move on. We'll save our questions till the
Great.
end. Thank you.
So with that, I'll call up my my next witness, Carolyn Rostel. I do want to mention as well, I do have Edwin Raimon, who's been sitting so patiently there, our civil engineer, in case there are any questions related to some of the drainage that Mr. Lewis spoke to.
I acknowledge I still remain under oath. All right. So we're here this evening for a couple of variances for this application. I wanted to start off a little bit with talking about this corridor and some of how we sort of looked at this property. Even though it's in an R1 district, the block on which it's on is not what you would typically think of as like an R1. So this property is located on Sip Avenue, which is an arterial corridor that connects Route 109 with Kennedy Boulevard. And it's sort of which are two principal transportation and commercial corridors in the city. This stretch of Sip Avenue on this side of the block is located with the R1 district, but it does contain multiple commercial properties, including this one, as well as mixed-use buildings, which are located down the block, which are your sort of classic ground floor commercial to upper floors of residential, and are really very typical of a more historic design for these more like neighborhood commercial areas. As noted, these commercial areas have been around since at least the 1930s. But what happened was in the 1970s, the city rezoned some of these more neighborhood commercial areas. They zoned them from districts which would have permitted that, mixed of uses of commercial, and they rezoned them to the R1, which was just for residential, in an attempt to stabilize the city's larger commercial nodes. And so we ended up with this situation where you have these historically sort of neighborhood commercial corridors that ended up in residential-only zones. More recently, back in 2022, the city created these sort of residential commercial districts. And that in purpose was to recognize and promote the existence and importance of these historic mixed-use neighborhoods and districts throughout the city. So some of these corridors rezoned, including sections of Kennedy Boulevard, Palisade Avenue, Summit Avenue, and some areas surrounding Newark Avenue. This section of Sip Avenue, historically and characteristically, is more aligned with these other corridors that have been rezoned to these RC districts. And so we sort of looked at that RC zone to sort of help guide us in developing what we thought would be appropriate for this lot. So there are some bulk standards in that RC1 district, which include minimum front yard of setback of 0 feet, minimum rear yard setback of 15% at the ground floor and 30% on upper floors, maximum lot coverage of 90%, and maximum height of 3 stories and 35 feet. So again, we really tried to keep those sort of that context of that RC district in our mind when we were developing this particular project. So I'm going to start off, now that I've sort of given you some of that background context, I'm going to start in on the variances we are requesting. So the first one I do want to talk about is we're requesting a D5 density variance. And under relevant case law, the Grubbs-Slaughter case, the standard for granting variances for this, with respect to the positive criteria, is that the site can accommodate the associated impacts of the increased density. So we did sort of take a look at what is the density of the area, and so that's what you see on your screen. I don't believe this was
Yeah, Carolyn,
submitted.
we should have this probably marked as, I guess, A2, Vinny?
A2.
The notice package is A1, correct? So we'll call that.
And so we'll make sure that gets submitted as well digitally. So this project proposes a density of 83.3 units per acre, where the maximum is 42 units in the R1 district. But when we look at this, we look at the neighborhood that it's in. I really do think that this site, given its context, can really support this additional density. As you see, our site is right here in sort of the center. This little yellow, it's highlighted in yellow. So that's our site here on Sip Avenue. And so the zoning around us, first of all, there's zoning that permits much greater density. We're directly across the street from a portion of the Journal Square redevelopment plan, and we are just a block, I guess this is west of the main portion of Journal Square. And Journal Square has no,
That's east.
We're west.
Yeah.
We're west. We're west. Journal Square is to the east of us. Yes. Journal Square doesn't have, they have density is typically in Journal Square, your density is limited by your building envelope. So, you know, you try to create a building envelope that is consistent with the character and the context, and then you can have as many units as you can fit in per building code. We're also directly across the street from us is I believe it's the R3. Yeah, it's a mid-rise mid-rise multifamily district. So again, that permits a higher density of development than the R1. And then as you can see, sprinkled throughout both the areas that have those higher permitted densities and within this corridor and this area along SIP Avenue, you do find buildings that have this higher density. Directly adjacent to us at 221 SIP Avenue, that's a 12-unit building with which is 194 units per acre. So that building has a higher density than what we're proposing. There are several other projects. There's 252, 254 SIP Avenue, which is a 24-unit, 229 units per acre building. And then across the street at 232, 238 SIP Avenue, a project was recently approved that was 151 units at 657 units per acre. So again, there are throughout and along this corridor, there are these higher density developments. And so we do think that this is an appropriate site. It can accommodate that increased density. You are very close to Journal Square. You're close to the services. You're close to the transportation networks that make this an appropriate site for that higher density, more transit-oriented development. So we do think that this site is appropriate and can accommodate those increased densities. Then we get into, and I don't know, Jeff, can you help me go back to the site plan?
Actually, Carolyn, just before we jump off this, can you circle our cursor where those group of other mixed-use buildings that we're trying to...
So there's a couple other mixed-use buildings. They don't sort of meet the threshold that we were looking at, which is over 50 units. I think they were just under, but they're right here at this end of the block. These parcels right here, those are the units, those are the buildings that have ground floor commercial, residential above that we're looking at in terms of the context of how the building looks and the stacking of the uses. Yeah. Okay. So finally, I'm going to go into those bulk standards. So the first C variance we're requesting here would be so the minimum front yard setback. We are proposing those upper floors to meet the same setback as the first floor, which would be a 0-foot front yard setback. Again, the R1 requires that you match one of the adjacent buildings. So this portion of SIP Avenue it's an angled street and it creates these sort of askewed buildings. So the buildings that are on either side of us, they are, they either touch at one corner and then there's a greater setback at the other corner because the street, the street frontage does not create that 90-degree angle with the side yards. So the two buildings on either side of us, they're, what's the term I'm trying to think of? They're squared to their side yards. We are proposing to keep the front facade to be parallel to the street, and that is the condition that we do see farther down the block with those other mixed-use buildings where the ground floor commercial, residential above, they are also have 0-foot setbacks for the whole facade, and so they're parallel to the street. So we would be asking to again, continue that street facade or the building wall consistent with those buildings that are farther down the street. And again, we think that this just ends up being creates a more consistent street wall versus trying to square ourselves off with one of the other two buildings because you would match at a point, but you couldn't match across the whole facade. And so we just think that this ends up being a better design solution. We're requesting a minimum rear yard setback variance. So a rear yard setback of 18 feet is proposed. And this is where approximately around 30 feet is required. So again, when we were sort of looking at this application, we were looking sort of at that RC1 standard where your ground floor has that 15-foot setback or 15% setback. And so we are consistent with that sort of requirement for the ground floor to be at least 15%. And then the upper floors, they do have that greater step back where we're basically stepping back the building 27 feet and a little over 10 inches, so that our rear yard or the rear facade of our upper floors matches the building that is adjacent to us. So again, we think that this sort of meets the intent to create that rear yard area. It is consistent with what we were looking at as that RC1 style of development. We don't believe that there's going to be any really significant adverse impacts from these sort of reduced setbacks. Due to the configuration of the block, our rear lot line abuts the side yard of 49 Romaine Avenue, and their property has no side yards, no side yard windows, and a 6-foot high fence will surround the whole thing. So they're really not going to have any light or air impacts because they don't get light and air to that side of their building from that facade anyway. So, we believe that we're going to be, again, maintaining the appropriate amount of light and air into that rear yard area and into the adjacent property. Let's see. And then I think the final variance we're looking for is that maximum lot coverage. And again, this relates to the rear yard setback. We're proposing a lot coverage of 86.8%, where a maximum of 75 is permitted in the R1. And again, we feel that this is an appropriate use. Having some additional space on our ground floor does allow us to have more space for a residential, or not for the residential, for the commercial use. You get a greater residential space or commercial space on that ground floor. What was I going to say? And that 86.8% is consistent, again, with that RC1 standard that we were keeping in mind, which does permit a maximum lot coverage of 90%. So again, we were trying to keep that in mind in doing this. So again, I think that maximum lot coverage is appropriate here. We still can create the light and air. We are addressing the stormwater impacts of the property on this site. We are providing, the green space in the rear yard. We are going to be doing those additional stormwater management systems or improvements as requested by the adjacent neighbor to address some of those concerns. So I think, again, overall, this maximum lot coverage is appropriate for this site and for the use of this property. I think that this property, again, advances the municipal land use law. It's an appropriate use of the property that would promote public health, safety, and moral and general welfare, consistent with Purpose A. Again, having a mixed use lot here on this block that has historically been mixed use, again, creates and continues that sort of neighborhood commercial, so that, people throughout the neighborhood can continue to get to local retail opportunities. They don't have to drive. They don't have to go very far. They're in their neighborhood. Granting the requested, I think it's consistent with Purpose C, maintain adequate light, air, and open space. I think the setbacks, as noted, provide that sufficient light and air to the adjacent properties. Our upper floor, again, is matching the adjacent property to at 221. And I think it promotes that desirable visual environment consistent with Purpose I. Again, you're taking this sort of, it looks industrial, one-story commercial use, and you're sort of trying to recreate that character, that historic character, that I think is really going to be very appropriate for this particular site, and really sort of fill in. It's kind of a sort of a missing tooth on this particular block front. I don't see that these variances will result in a substantial detriment to the general welfare. Again, it's an appropriate use given the character of this block, and continuing that legacy of that commercial use. It'll improve the streetscape with, we'll have new green roofs, new street trees, new sidewalks. So again, all of these wonderful improvements for the streetscape. And I don't believe this will result in a substantial impairment to the intent and purpose of the zone plan or zoning ordinance. It fulfills the purpose of the R1 district, which is to accommodate existing housing, encourage compatible infill, preserve the streetscape, and utilize and preserve on-street parking where lot frontage is narrow. So I think that this property, really fits in there. You're providing, for new housing, and it's a compatible infill development here on this streetscape. I think this advances the city's master plan to continue to enhance residential neighborhoods, balancing those housing needs and strengthening neighborhood-oriented commercial areas. So I think overall, both the positive and negative criteria have been met, and that the variances can be granted.
Thank you very much, Carolyn.
Do you have anyone else presenting? That's it?
Unless you'd like to hear from our engineer, that would conclude my presentation, and I would just respectfully request the right to sum up at the conclusion.
Okay. I don't see anyone from the neighborhood here to speak. Are you from the neighborhood?
I consider all of Jersey City my neighborhood. So thank you. I won't be long. For the record, Charles Harrington of Connell Foley. As Ben mentioned earlier, I represent the owner of the property directly to the west at 221 Sip Avenue, Mr. Arvind Patel. Mr. Patel is a retired engineer with the Port Authority. He had some concerns about the project initially. He was introduced to me by Erwin Rosen, another colleague here in Jersey City, but Mr. Rosen doesn't do any land use. So he asked if I could take a look at it. I explained to them that I'm not an objecting attorney, but let me take a look, and I'll take a look at the plan. I'll speak to Mr. Wine, speak to planning, and see what we can do, and to address his concerns, which he had a lot of possible drainage concerns because he is at a lower elevation directly to the west, and the size of the building. So, to the credit of Mr. Wine and his client, they agreed to move to create larger setbacks at the rear of the property. They also agreed to enhance the stormwater at the property by also putting in drainage in the backyard. They also, as Mr. Wine testified or Mr. Lewis testified earlier, he had a concern: what if the sump pump goes out? And they agreed to have the emergency generator, and it's operated by gas. And they also, a last item, it's kind of a belts and suspenders. They agreed to have a 2-foot retaining wall directly in the west and on the west side in the rear yard in the event the drains are clogged. So they really stepped up and addressed my client's concerns. And when I spoke to my client, I advised him I thought this is an appropriate project. If I was presenting it, so I give them a lot of credit for working with us. And as Ms. Worstel said, across the street, it is the Journal Square redevelopment plan area. I actually represent some of the clients across the street. I know there's like a 14-story building that we got approved, and we're working on another one that's going to be larger in size. So I agree with their presentation that this isn't a property that should be developed under the R1 standards. We think it's a good project, and we thank them for working with us.
Okay, thank you. So since there's no one from the community, I'm closing the public portion of the meeting. Do the commissioners have any questions or concerns? Okay, can we please hear from the staff?
Certainly. I think Ms. Worstel put it best that This corridor is very, very similar to the types of mixed residential commercial corridors that the city recently rezoned from R1 to the RC1 and RC2 zones. Streets like Franklin Street, parts of John F. Kennedy Boulevard, stretches of Palisade Avenue, streets that were, well, often hosted streetcar lines. And because of that, there was corner retail at the streetcar stops. People get off the streetcar, do their shopping, you know, pick up their laundry, get a few groceries for home as they walk off to their neighborhood. And this property is one of several sort of mixed-use remnants from that past, and they're restoring that fabric. I mean, from a professional point of view, it was probably an oversight that city planning didn't recommend this corridor for rezoning as well. And perhaps that's something we should look into in the future and study. Staff advised the applicant to look to the RC1 standards in terms of appropriate bulk density, and they complied. All that staff requests is that the applicant agree to abide by the conditions in the memo dated October 8th.
Yes, and we take no exception to those. Thank you, Matt.
With that being said, staff recommends approval of conditions.
Okay. No further questions? Okay. Mr. Secretary, can you please take, oh, I'm sorry, I need someone to make a motion to vote on, God, I think it's a long night, Z2025-0011.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve case Z2025-001.
I second.
Vice Chair Arujo?
Oh, me, yes.
Commissioner Shadid?
Yes.
Commissioner D'Angelo?
Yes.
Commissioner Barron?
Yes.
Commissioner Triplicki?
Yes, the one good thing about it, the apartment in the back, it sort of goes with what Matt was saying too. It allows for like a live workspace. So if someone has a business, they could also even live there like in the old days. And we try to push the live work thing a while ago, so that's a potential there in the future. Yes, yes, yes.
All right. And Chair Coyle?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
I do believe we have something memorialized tonight. I thought I saw something. Do we have something to memorialize tonight?
Yeah, we have one resolution tonight, and we do have one set of deeds to be signed by the chair and myself.
These new confangled things, I'm telling you. Yeah, it is about the public PSE&G tearing the building down. Yeah, it's the PSE&G building, right? Yes, it's the PSE&G building. Yeah.
Is that a DocuSign?
Yes, Matt will send that over via DocuSign.
Today, I'm looking.
It came today.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm trying to find it. Okay, resolutions for signature. Garfield Avenue.
Oh. It was an appeal of the zoning officer's determination at 1051 Garfield Avenue.
And we approved it.
We approved that, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and present on that evening, it was September 25th. Present was Chair Coyle, Vice Chair Arroyo, Commissioners Shadid, D'Angelo, Burns, Allen, and Jablicki. And that passed 6 in favor, none opposed, and 1 abstention. All in favor of memorializing that?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And that concludes it. Can I get a motion to close the meeting, to adjourn the meeting?
To adjourn the meeting.
Can I get a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's go.